Oh, it's gonna be interesting. Maybe. Who knows, right? The chat up. Hello, Seikensu 77. You probably have some really good questions. But yeah, I have some questions people will ask me, which I will probably answer the first, unless you have some answers. But just go with any question, and until you are tired. So of course I always have typical questions, right? But go for it then. You're first in chat, so go for it. I hope you can hear me correctly actually. I didn't put on this side. That sounds good. But yeah, so what do you want to know, guys? So first of all, never done this before, right? On a live chat. I done an NBA like in the Reddit years ago, but never done an NBA on a live chat. But whatever, right? Or I mean, live is live on this, right? So I have a couple of questions. I could always ask, answer and ask someone, right? People usually ask me, you Oliver. So come on, give me some questions. Whereas I'm gonna just give me my life story, right? Whereas I'm going to be like, here's my resume. I mean, it's gonna be super boring. So ask me anything. Oh, breakfast. Oh yeah, so in your time frame. Yeah, so I don't know about the time frame either. Usually I just went from the gym, so I just come back here from exercising a bit. It's a pretty good time frame for me, which is one of the reasons, I guess. Usually people ask me like, how can you be so fast with anime reaction and so on. I feel this is a pretty good time for me when animes are dropped in Japan. It's usually when I kind of either get back from work or when I like enter the gym or whatever, something like that, right? So my arms, of course, are hurting a lot here now then, as always. But yeah, just ask me anything, work, stuff, philosophy. It's like, and why is it? That's a good question. Why is it Carrot? Why is it Carrot? That's a great question. But obviously Carrot is the best character. So I'm gonna say that I want Carrot to be Nakama. But let me start with the character question then. So in One Piece, my favorite character, right, is Doflamingo, right? You've probably seen my Doflamingo shirt, right? And actually I have this thing over here. You know, I'm always ready with my Doflamingo cosplay, right? So I'm always ready with my Doflamingo cosplay, of course. I always have my, pink boa. It's always ready to me. So I can give a quick explanation, right? Doflamingo is my favorite character because he's just a well-written bad guy. And I'm a sucker for well-written bad guys. Like one of my favorite animes is Golden Kamui, and that's because every bad guy is just really well-written, right? And Doflamingo is a bad character, so I'm gonna spoil the One Piece here then. But when you watch One Piece, right, there's a lot of great bad guys. But Doflamingo has the best backstory I feel for a bad guy, because you're like, this makes sense. He's evil and it makes sense. You watch Doflamingo, you're like, but he was clearly wrong by his father. Like I can like empathize and say, I'd probably kill my father too if I was Doflamingo, because man, his father Homing is horrible. His father is like, I'm gonna raise you. Oh my god, that was a nice that was a nice fall down there. Oh man. But yeah, so I mean, let me put it up again there. That was beautiful. But anyway, it's like I want to spoil One Piece too much, right? But when you watch Doflamingo and Roshinante's backstory and law and so on, it really makes sense. Like, why is he evil for? Well, his father was a horrible father, right? Took him from being this prince, and then you just moved him into, right, how to say it, right? It took him into like a prince position, like a king position, right, into that thing, right? Yeah, but it's beautiful, right? Yeah, of course, and Spider-Man also, it's similar with the webbing. But I like that Doflamingo then, that you understand why he's evil. And then, how to say it, he's an interesting character too, because I really like when he gets to Dressrosa, and he's like, oh, here's Luffy, he's the main character. So I prepared, the flame fruit, right? But he knows that it's like, that's the main character. So I'm afraid of him, right? He's like the only character in the freaking whole anime so far, or manga, or whatever, that actually is afraid of Luffy. He's like, well, Luffy is really strong. That guy always wins his battles somehow, so I'm gonna do this shit, right? And if you ignore, all the crap that happens, right? in One Piece with Doflamingo. If you ignore all the quest stuff around him, he would have won, right? But basically, it's like he's fighting like, you know, mega plot up, right? So I think that makes sense. I like the team too, right? And also that he's a middleman guy. That's like, I can't become a Yonko, but I can work with the Yonkos, right? So I like it's like an actual realistic character. As I mentioned, you know, I like you know, Golden Kamuy too, right? And every character in Golden Kamuy, all the bad guys are really well written, and you kind of follow them and so on, right? And then with the Carrot topic, I do want to see Carrot becoming a Nakama. I think it makes sense. She's the main character, right? It would fit into having all the, you know, diversity that Luffy goes, right? Want a dead guy, want a fishman, need a mink, right? So that's probably like the long One Piece answer. I would say, at least. But if you have some other... Yeah, I know you want Tama to be the main, but I mean, my theory, I don't make too much One Piece here, but but they have like, you know, they're already ninjas. Usopp is a ninja, Nami is like Kunoichi now, Nami is going, they have like 10 ninjas now, like half of them are ninjas now. But I mean, my theory is that Tama is gonna be, you know, like, you know, One Piece GT, right? One Piece Boruto. Then we're gonna have Tama as the main character. That's my theory. But do you have any other question that is not One Piece related? But of course, I am a big One Piece fan. Yeah, they were not real ninjas. No, but come on, they are all ninjas. Oh man. Oh no, you want. I mean, but I do want to see Tama. I do want to see Carrot though. And Tama is probably gonna be falling in love with Momonosuke, right? Oh yeah, that's true. That was a good question. Actually, sorry, yeah. You asked best anime of the year. So we did that first, and then we go top 5 animes. So the best anime of the year so far, then. Best anime of the year is probably like. Oh, that's a hard question. What anime was the best last season? I'm thinking. I will probably say Kaguya-sama. I think Kaguya-sama, you know, I'm a real big sucker for Kaguya-sama. The comedy, the writing, and every damn scene, Kaguya-sama. I'm laughing just thinking about it. I think it's like Kaguya-sama. Man, you know, that was like my number 2 anime last year, so yeah, Kaguya-sama is just Kaguya, as in you know, Kaguya Hime, which is a comedy anime. If you haven't seen it, season 2 is going right now, then, which is about. I want to say it. My favorite anime of all time. You can go into the top 5 as well. Then my favorite anime of all time is Kaji, right? I'm a huge Kaji fan, so I've always been a massive Kaji fan for like, I don't know, how old is Kaji? 15 years. So yeah, I love Kaji, and then I really love, you know, Kaguya-sama this year at the last report. Kaguya-sama is basically like Kaji, but it's love instead, right? Instead of being like, am I gonna survive this freaking mini game of like card games, right? I'm doing this shit here. Instead of doing that thing, it's like, how can I trick him to fall in love with me? So that might be why, right? Because I really see that Kaguya-sama is very similar to Kaji. So on the top 5, then yeah, Kaji, my favorite anime. If you've never seen Kaji, I also recommend to people, right? It's about gambling. It's about psychology. And because I work with psychology and like human behavior and so on, it kind of fits me. Game theory. I'm also interested in like, you know, von Neumann game theory and so on. So it kind of fits, I guess, my thing, right? Also kind of why I like Tower of God right now. Tower of God is very gamey, so I like the two, right? But yeah, so Kaji is my number 1. So in Kaji then it's about this loser guy that never wins anything. Kinda. He usually loses, right? And he's trying to make it bigger. He's trying to be rich somehow. And it's always like, oh, I can trick this guy. And then they're playing different games. And for example, in the first arc, they're playing Janken, right? Paper, rock, scissors. And they're playing that, and it's life and death, right? I think it's really interesting because it's a very simple game. Paper, rock, scissors, Janken. It's a very, very simple game. But they make it to be like, oh, Sava, if he plays that card, I'm gonna lose all my money. But he plays this card, shit, you know. So it's like a super, super intense, the most simple game ever. And at my last, so 3 years ago, I think it was, we had this game jam. We usually have like, I work with different game companies, and we usually have game jams, right, at the game companies. So game jam is when you kind of like, for like 1 hour, for like 1 day or 2 days, you make me some kind of quick game right there in a few people. And every damn game company I worked for, I'm always like, game jam, can we please make Kadji the younger game? I'm always like, can we please make this super serious rock paper scissors game? And I even have this like paper position where I want to make this. I mean seriously, but I want to make like a Junkin game. Where you have like tournaments, you have different. I don't know. I kind of want to make that game, but make it more meta somehow. But anyway, so Kadji is really good, and yeah, it does reminds of Yu-Gi-Oh! And one thing, I mean, I have all Yu-Gi-Oh! Mangas, right? The classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Mangas. And if you ever read Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is crazy in the beginning. Before they actually play the card game, before they actually play, what Yu-Gi-Oh! Was famous for, they are playing games that are all insane. Like, in the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you with this flame thing, right? It is crazy Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! is one of the craziest mangas ever. Like, again, it starts with like, okay, so they have one game where they play air hockey in Yu-Gi-Oh! And if, I don't remember, I think it goes blind. Yugi's like, I'm gonna blind you. The guy that loses to Yu-Gi-Oh! He's like permanently blinded the rest of his life. It's just crazy. And there's like one guy robbing like a McDonald's, and Yugi burns him alive. Yugi puts alcohol in him and burns him alive, right? And you're like, what the hell? And then there's one scene with Bakura when he like impales his own arm on this like, my goddamn Spider-Man. Why every damn time? I move too much with my software. So it's like, how would I explain it? But Bakura has shrunken down Yugi to be in this like D&D game, right? Like small, tiny figures, and then and then they're fighting in this like D&D world, and afterwards, like he impales his arm and the blood goes over them, and they get drowned in his blood. Yugi was crazy. Probably can talk about it. But anyway, yeah. It really depends, right? It really depends on what video it is. It really depends. On some videos, it takes the longest time to go through like a review video, right? And like yesterday or 2 days ago, I published my Trials of Mana review. We have the game here, right? And doing like a review takes a lot of time, because not just playing the game, but it takes a lot of time when you, how would I say it? Like when you edit it. Yeah, when you edit the video, when you're trying to get some good scenes and so on. Right? So that is like, I think it's like with most people that do a video, right? An edited video is kind of like, that review is about 30 minutes, and it's probably like 2-3 hours to actually edit the video. So you have to really take a lot of time when you edit the videos. When I do my anime reaction video, what I feel I spend the longest time sometimes is actually doing the thumbnails. I can sit and do a thumbnail for like 10-15 minutes, seriously. Sometimes I just do it immediately, right? But sometimes I'm like, I want to get the good image. I want to have a good image myself. I want to have like a good scene of the episode. So I can spend, I can spend easily 10 minutes just getting like a good thumbnail. Which I feel, which is the big thing of doing stuff on YouTube, right? Generally, you want to have some kind of good reaction phase. But I mean, I want to have like a good part of the episode. And then I always try to not make it too spoilery. I hate it when people have, thumbnails and it's like, this is that scene, and you're showing the character dying, right? I don't want to have that thumbnails on my channel. Sometimes I might do that too much. So what I try to do is like, just take the scene before. I'm trying to like not reveal exactly what's going to happen. And so if you've seen the episode, you probably know what I was referring to. But if you haven't seen the episode, you won't get spoiled. So I'm trying to like make kind of thumbnails where I feel they are not spoilery enough for people who haven't seen it yet. People who have seen it are gonna be, he's reacting to this scene, right? So I'm trying to that I spend a lot of time on. Of course, there's some anime I just do some. It depends. It depends. Money wise, it's of course it's pennies. I make like I don't know, $10 a day or something. I don't know, something like that. Depends a little bit. One thing, I have a lot of other old videos, right, from like last year and 2 years ago when I started my channel, and they're still bringing in like a few cents per day. So altogether, because of little money, but of course it's very little money. I get donations sometimes, so that also gets a little money and so on. But the thing is that, and when it comes to like donations for that, people ask me about that sometimes. Right? I never asked anyone ever to donate stuff ever. I never will. But it's the thing is that because I don't care about money. I always say to people too when I go to interviews at work and so on. I never care about money. Like I have zero interest in money. So when it comes to donations, it's nice getting them because you know that someone likes your stuff, right? So I would never say, oh, don't do it, because like it's nice getting it because you know someone cares. So in that sense, it's nice, but it's not like I need it, right? And because I have quite I would say I'm not rich, in the sense that I'm like super wealthy, but I'm somewhat wealthy compared to most people, right? So it's also like I don't know. My channel here has to become like a million subscriber channel at least, right? Where I will have like 1 million views per day. That it would matter, right? That would be cool, of course. Then I could do this full time instead of actually going to work, right? So what I do now, of course, is I go to work for 8 hours with commute and so on. Spend about like 10 hours, so right. It's like an hour to work, 8 hours work. I go to the gym during work, then go back again. And after I get home, then I do anime stuff or game stuff and so on, right? So I spend like a full work day on that, right? So of course, if I was making real money on YouTube, I could actually, do this full time, right? And you can see a lot more videos and more content. But of course, it's like a very, very far away, right? I need to increase my not subscriber count, but the review count for. I need like 1 million views. But I think I'll say one thing though. I would never love to work with this kind of stuff because you're always so afraid of getting any issue, right? Like any issue, a claim, whatever. Suddenly you make no money for a week or for a month and so on. So it's super risky. So in that sense, I would probably never stop my real life until I will be super famous. Let's say I was like several millions into super famous, then I would be like, hey, I can drop my normal job now. I probably wouldn't dare otherwise. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't dare. But yeah, so it's really isn't about the money, right? And I always say to people too, when I go to interviews and so on, I don't care what salary I get. But I will say this thing though, it's not really entirely true to say that you don't care about salary, because I worked at a game company. This was about, 6 years ago, and the salary there was pretty bad. Like I had a pretty bad salary. You usually have a pretty bad salary at game companies, and the salary was really bad. And even if I don't really care about money, and I had money, so I didn't care about it in that sense, it was still annoying, right? Because knowing that someone is paying you very, very little. Yeah, you know that someone's like underpaying you, right? So you get pissed off at your boss because you're like, how can you pay me so little? Even if you don't need the money, you feel like I should get paid more. So you can't just say, it's not entirely true to say that you don't care about money, because it's still, I would say from my experience, you get angry, right? If someone is so undervaluing you or being so cheap or whatever, right? But that is a general issue though. So for example, last year I changed job then to a more typical IT job from the game company to an IT company, and I had like a 70% raise, something like that, like an insane increase in salary. So my salary beforehand was higher than the average salary in the country, right? Like a few thousand more, and then I almost doubled that. so the money I got from my new work, it is higher after taxes than what my job was before taxes. So I mean, like that is a massive, a massive difference, like a massive difference. So that's unfortunately how the game industry is, right? You get really underpaid, and you usually have a lot of overtime and so on, right? And that's different too. I think one thing I can say here immediately, I want to just point out here, because I talked to a lot of people that's coming to different countries, so I lived, in different countries and so on, is that when I worked in the US, when I worked for like Blizzard and so on, I think that there was a lot of overtime. We had overtime like every week, but when I had overtime in the US, we get paid overtime. So it was overtime all the time, you get paid for it. But in my home country, Sweden, you get overtime, you don't get paid for it. So I talked to actually a game developer about 2 years ago. He's American. He was pissed off that yeah, you have less overtime in Sweden, but when you have overtime, they won't pay you for it. Like that is more unfair, right? So that's my experience doing overtime. But whatever, yeah. If I could be an animal, uh, which animal do I not wanna be? I guess you don't wanna be some kind of weird animal. We have to live in someone's, yeah, some kind of fly or something where you have to live in the in the excrements, something like that. Or there are a lot of weird animals. I guess you don't want to be an animal with like if you if you fornicate once you die from that, like a spider or something. You don't want to be something like that. I feel, but you die. You either have to live in someone's it's the in humans or other animals, yeah, bad parts. Or you don't want to be an animal where you're just like, well, you have sex once, then you die. That also be a pretty bad animal, like Soyberg in Futurama and so on. That would be pretty bad. when you can't really do much. And Charlotte, I've seen Charlotte, and I've seen Angel Beats. So of course, Charlotte is an anime where they get powers. And I kind of like the concept of Charlotte because they get powers right that are pretty bad. Like one cat, you can go really fast, but it can't stop right. Yeah, so you can like just kind of speed into stuff, and you can't stop propelling forward or so on. So yeah, and with like time stop, and you can read. Yeah, one can fly right to Charlotte, but you cannot land. Like they can just go upward, but they can go down and so on. So I kind of like the Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte one of those like emotional animes. Has a really good opening. And it sounds exactly like Angel Beats. It's so when I do those anime opening quizzes and I hear Charlotte, I'm like, is this Angel Beats or is this Charlotte? I can tell you for that matter, way before I had a channel, way before this stuff, right? I've always been an anime geek, right? And I am the freaking anime opening master, right? I have never lost like an anime oh, I'm actually writing that. I'm actually writing a book about my title, and I would call it something funny like "My Life as a Psychopath," something like that. That would be my title, something like that, yeah. Or how I got all something like that, stoicism or something like that. That would be my title of the book. Something crazy, something clickbaity, but still somewhat true, right? Something meaning something like that, something like that. But the thing is that I'm actually writing a book. Generally, I'm at several books, but generally, I'm in one book of fantasy, an isekai book, right? I'm working on my own isekai, right? It's been doing for a while, but otherwise, I'm writing this book where I'm researching and looking at what makes people be winners, so to speak. Which sounds kind of weird, but I also had a mentality that whatever I do it pretty well. I don't mean like YouTube or so, but I mean like a skill set of learning a language or learning how to do this coding or scripting or whatever, or this math problem and so on. And I've always been fascinated about people that try really hard, but they still fail. And I think a good example is like Gordon Ramsay, right? If you look at Gordon Ramsay, I'm a big Ramsay fan. If you look at his Hell's Kitchen, right? Most people that actually fail with their restaurant in like Hell's Kitchen, Kitchen Nightmares, they're actually working really hard usually. They work like 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, but they still fail. So I've been working on that book primarily, where I try to understand what is the difference there and what is the makes people actually succeed. In the sense that, and I have a different issues with that. One thing is that you have to think about what makes people understand their mistake. Usually one thing, like improving from their mistake. A general thing that I write about, I did a lecture about last year, is called delayed gratification, which is about how people are, how people can. This is a thing called the Myrmonden test, which is a very classic thing in psychology, where you look at children and see how if you give them like, if you can have one or two candy, would you wait 50 minutes or right? So looking at that stuff and how adults, they also can learn how to like improve that gratification and so on. I think it's a big thing for it. Any dish. I mean, I eat a lot of taco, of course, pizza. What I like with like taco, pizza, and even hamburger is that it's quite versatile. So I like that food and how you can improve. for example, I make a lot of taco then for the family, so right. And like one taco week, I'm like, okay, it's a lot of kiwi, it's a lot of pineapple. And next week, it's like a lot of pineapple and it's a lot of kiwi. No, but it's like I like you can mix it up, right? So I like that. I like food that you can actually make different stuff with the food. Today I'm gonna make some lamb today. I'm trying to make that good. Yesterday I ate satay, yeah. But yeah, Persona 5. I actually have ordered Persona 5 because it was sold out where I live. I couldn't get it, Persona 5 Royal, and I've ordered it. I've waited for like a week now, so it was out of stock everywhere I live, and you couldn't go to the store. But I ordered it like last Friday, and they told me they sent it last Friday, and I still haven't gotten it. So, I'm waiting for like 6 days now. Classic, right there. I was like, what's happening there? But yeah, Persona 5, probably the next game I'm gonna play, right? JRPG game. I play a lot of JRPGs. My master teaches a lot about JRPGs, right? So I'm quite the worst in JRPGs. I have a pile of JRPGs in front of me here, right? And I probably will review, has all my, like my latest pile of like PS4, all, role-playing games. But yeah, I'm gonna review Persona 5 Royal probably, and I probably will get addicted to it, right? That was one thing that actually happened that I didn't ever talk about it on this channel or more channels, but when I was playing Fire Emblem Three Houses, right? And I keep mentioning Fire Emblem Three Houses, but I played Fire Emblem Three Houses like, I don't know, like 400 hours. I couldn't stop playing it. so I love the whole, I gotta date this girl. I gotta seduce this my wife here, and you give her extra points if you get A racing with me and so on. So I always like those games where you have to go around and and have this like the relationship and so on, and also like a JRPG and boss battle and so on. Right? So I was so into Fire Emblem, and I never talked about it when actually Fire Emblem was out because I was playing it so much that I was like, I have to stop talking about it, or playing it. I have to put it away. I was like, I have to put it away. So I never did a review or any video at all about Fire Emblem because I was so into it. I was like, I can't work. I'm like, I just had to play Fire Emblem. So I was like, no, gotta push it away somewhere. So I never thought about it. But I'm like, I would like to do like a super absurdly long Fire Emblem video one day. There's like 3-4 hours review of Fire Emblem Three Houses. But I never did it then because I was like, man, it's just so good. But yeah, if you never played Fire Emblem Three Houses, give you a quick review here. Right? It's like immediately it has a typical TJRPG, right? So Fire Emblem is following. If you ever play something like Front Mission, Tactics Ogre, and so on. And I mean that you have different genres, right, in role-playing games. You have the role-playing game, you have the action RPG, and so on, the JRPG. But they have the TJRPG, Tactical Japanese Role-Playing Games. And tactical Japanese role-playing games, TJRPG, they're almost always very like political, and they're also usually different factions, different sides, right? So if you play something Front Mission, you can either, like Mission 3, you can either be with the Russians or with the US or to the main China, but it's got the main two sides, right? Like Russia, China, and so on. And then depending on who you pick, right, is different kind of storylines. Tactics Ogre, you can be either good or evil, right, depending on who you pick and so on. So when you start playing Fire Emblem Three Houses, it feels very typical TRPG because you pick, of course, one of 3 houses, right? And then it's also a secret route. So immediately there, when I play those games, I want to see the other paths, right? And I think it's very interesting, and it's a very, again, TRPG mechanic, right? Storytelling mechanic, because when you play Three Houses then, the beginning is the same, and then halfway through the game, you're gonna, become a war between, of course, main and spoiler, but you're gonna have war between the different, countries, right? So, of course, your friends in, playthrough A, right? These are your best friends, yeah. They're gonna be your bosses, right? In second playthrough, right? That, to me, feels very classic, those TRPG. And when they're fun to play, and they kind of emotionally play through, you have to kill your best friend, right? Or not your best friend, but like basically one of those characters you're dating the last game, you have to kill them and so on. Yes, that's very reminiscing of those classic Super Nintendo and forward TRPGs. Because it's always like pick your countryside, and depending on what country you pick, right, you're gonna either be your bosses or your enemies. So for example, For mission 3 then, one of the main occurring bosses, Liu, is like one of these like, reoccurring bosses, like boss 5 times over, is a playable character if you play with China, right? So those things, I would also love that in those role-playing games. So that immediately, I like with Fire Emblem, that you have to pick 3 different houses, then it's the 4th option, and you have to, fight your friends and allies and so on, right? And then all the other in the game is a typical chessboard game, right, where you fight different characters and so on, and it's turn-based, of course, and you level up your classes and so on. So some replayability there, right? And during all this, then you have that persona, I guess, then, right, the dating sim. So one gameplay is just a straight up turn-based, right, and the other gameplay is like, oh, you have to date these 20 students or more, right, and seduce these different waifus and husbandos, right, and trying to marry someone. You can marry one of them in the game as well, and you have to do, and as with the older Fire Emblem games, the more someone likes you, the better they get next to you, right? And also to each other. So I was like that. And for example, another game I played, and I wrote about this game way ago, is Valkyrie Chronicles, right? Which always had that thing too, where it's like, oh, this guy, he's Casanova, so if he's next to female characters, he gets stronger, because he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hit this girl. And this girl here, she's afraid of like ghosts. She's really bad during the night, but she's strong as and so on, right? So Fire Emblem has that kind of feel, where every character has some kind of personality quirk, which is like, this girl, she hates men. She also show off next to a man, right? Areas to attack power. Or someone's like a loner, so they're stronger if they have no allies next to them, and so on, right? So I was like that kind of, and then that's like, so they really excel in the typical TJRPG feel to it, right? And another thing you get Fire Emblem is that every character has a very interesting storyline. Like every character has a very interesting, genuinely good like narration with their life and their backstory. And of course it's very, very, anime, it's very Japanese, right? Someone got betrayed by their father and someone killed their mom, and it's very, very, it's very, very Japanese, right? It's all like super sad backstories, and they all have so many dialogues between each character, so you need to get like 20 dialogues per character times 3 or something, right? So it's a huge amount of storyline, and that's what made me, I think, super into Fire Emblem 2, and kept playing it all the time. So I couldn't stop playing it, because I was like, god damn it, I want to see everyone's damn past and storyline. You have to replay the game to get the next storyline, and and so on, right? And of course there's a lot of mystery. So, and I played the Edelgard route the first time, and because of that, I was like, that didn't give you the full storyline. So so I had a little more. Yeah, you'll probably be addicted. I was super addicted. I think a great thing with that game was that as soon as I beat Fire Emblem, I had to play it once more. So I played the Edelgard route, and I was like, this was really amazing. Didn't really explain to me the backstory of of some stuff, so I had to play it again immediately to go through the older story to get kind of filling out the blanks. And I think one issue there, arguably, is that the Edelgard route is like, it always kind of assumes you played the game once before. But that's my first playthrough, so I didn't understand something was happening, and so on, right? But how would I say it? So, one thing, I played it on Maddening too. So I played it on super hard, and that's something I like with that game too. And I talked about that in my Trust of Man review yesterday, that I really wish more games would just have like super hard, right? I don't care if you if it's just maximum stats and everything, but I like that. Just give me that impossible challenge, and they get more game time, right? As a kid, I played a lot of Heroes of Might and Magic. If you play that game, I'm a huge Heroes fan, and I would always play Heroes on impossible mode, where you had 0 gold, 0 gems, 0 crystals, and the enemies got everything. And you had to like really, really survive, every damn battle perfectly, or the AI would completely crush you, right? And I always liked that. So I liked the games where you had the absurd hard mode, as long as it's impossible, of course, to beat the game. For that matter, I am friends with a few people that are making their own Heroes of Might and Magic kind of clone, actually. Been doing like 3 years now. But they probably have some bad production, because it should be finished already, like a year ago. But yeah, I'm friends with a few guys there. They're doing that like a Heroes clone. It looks exactly like Heroes. So, but I'm interested to see how they. Hopefully they give me some, a free key, right? I would say that thing, usually I get a lot of free keys, so it's a lot of games. Unfortunately not like, Squeenies and JRPG games, but when it comes to like FPS and so on, I get them for like free. So I played Battlefront, Battlefield, the DICE games. I got them all for free, like the deluxe, the elite versions, because I know people working there. And so same with like World of Warcraft and Overwatch and so on. So there's a lot of keys I got them during my life that are free, but they never give me the Japanese games. They never give me the good games. They just give me the Western games that I like. Oh, I guess I play it because it's free. So I got Borderlands 3 as well, and so on. So I get all the FPS games. I get all the FPS games for free, and then I'm like, well, I'm not an FPS fan, but I guess I have to play them because they're free. So, but the thing is that, and the same with my last game, right? It's really easy to just give someone a key, right? So today you can always give someone like, here's a key, because it doesn't actually cost the company, to produce a key, right? It actually doesn't. I mean, of course, the actual costs producing the whole game cost money, right? But one more key to your friend doesn't actually increase your cost, right? So when you get a key from someone you know at the company, you always get the deluxe key. You always get like the deluxe collection edition key, right? Because why would they give you a free, normal key? Might as well give you the best key, right? Because it doesn't actually matter for them, right, what key you get. So usually I also get the collecting key or whatever then. But yeah, that's a strange thing. The whole, I don't know. I mean, personally, no, I'm still like a super big fan, right, of classic. How to say it? When it comes to everything, right? When it comes to anime stuff, when it comes to gaming, I'm quite a collector, right? So I'm always collecting. Like here, I have my, more gaming. Did I move the camera now? Maybe. I can't see it anymore. How the camera looks. Did I move the camera too much now? Something like that. That's better. So for example, I always collect the stuff, right? So I love, steel books, cases. I'm super weak to get this kind of stuff. I'm like super weak. I need to buy this stuff. I will admit it. I need to buy stuff. And some games, I even have like 2 games. I collect a lot of games. So some games I even have. I buy 2 copies. I buy 1 copy to play, 1 copy to have it in mint condition, right? So there are a lot of, especially then, role-playing games where I have 2 copies. And what of course if I do then is I buy like the collector edition. I buy the expensive edition. And then I have that, as still mint, and then I buy a normal edition and I play the normal, right? So I buy both and so on. so I have not played one. You know that all the One Piece games sucks. I mean, I even saw your review of the One Piece. What is it called? I saw the latest game. What's it called? I mean, I even saw your review of it. You know what I mean? Help me out there. The One Piece Pirate Wars 4, yes, Pirate Wars 4. I mean, you hated it, right? You hated it, right? It's like a thing, and I'll say it immediately. Nice, Rimuru, welcome. But I will say it immediately here. Licensed games are crap, and they've always been crap. When I grew up as a kid, you have one thing you always knew about any kind of gaming, and I grew up during the NES, right? NES, Super Nintendo, and Nintendo, and you would always avoid those games, like the RoboCop and so on. Those games were horrible. Like the Super Nintendo games, they were licensed games. It has a kind of movie title or a gaming or manga, whatever. They were all usually really bad. So you would be like, those games are horrible. Yeah, you never want to play them. Licensing games has never been good. Like the first licensed game that I really loved, except, I'll say one thing though, except the Konami and the Capcom games. They were always good, okay? So the Turtle games and the X-Men games and so on, Spider-Man, they were really awesome. The Spider-Man game, if you play the Spider-Man Venom games, they were really, really awesome. So those were awesome, but otherwise they all sucked. And the first game I really loved though, from my licensed game, was Marvel's Capcom 2, right? That game was so good. One of the best fighting games ever. Marvel's Capcom. That's a very, very good game. And that was the first really impressive, amazing licensed game. And yeah, I played Tekken, because I played fighting games. I actually was on a Tekken live stream. So this is before I had this channel, way before the channel and so on. Because I know the publisher manager of Namco Bandai in the Nordic countries. So I actually playing Tekken 7 as Akuma on this like It's like a cancer thing. Yeah. Also like a cancer foundation stream. You know, people donate money for some kind of born cancer, like children cancer, something like that. Because I know who she's a writer for Game Magazine and so on, the Nordic brand manager for Namco. Then she had Tekken 7 with her because before the game was released. Then so before the game was released. So I actually played Tekken 7 very early in some like early build when I could play Akuma. And I was playing it on stream then. But it was back then. Then I was like competitive. I used to compete in like Street Fighter a lot and so on, right? So it was kind of funny there. And I was like, well, I'm the Street Fighter pro here, so I gotta play Akuma. But yeah, that was like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, way before this thing. Yeah. But yeah, Marvel's Capcom 2, the first good license game. And then there was no good license games until we had, of course, Batman. I want to say that Batman, right? And Tekken 3 I used to play so much, right? I used to play with Gon and so on. But Tekken 3 was an interesting fighting game. Let me say it here. Tekken 3 interesting, because Tekken 3, you had so many different other modes too, right? I mean, I love Last Fighter 5, but everyone complained about that game because it was like, oh, you can't do this stuff, and you can't. It's only like a PvP game. You only have the the 1-1, right? Tekken 3 was really good in that sense because it had the beat 'em up stage, where you could fight, people, right? It had that really good, like the volleyball stage. Tekken 3 had like 7 other game modes. It was very interesting for its time. It was like a really big game. Nihongo. My Japanese is like decent. Like I understand, when someone is speaking Japanese, right? I can understand Nihongo pretty well. I studied Japanese at college. And I can read, hiragana and katakana pretty well, and I can read maybe like 100, 200 kanjis, so we should say, and it's very Naruto. So I'm like fire, water, yeah. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's a sign for water jutsu. So it's very like Naruto Japanese, where it's like I know the words for all the elements. Yes, oh yeah, suton, oh that's water. Yeah, so it's kind of that level, right? No, but actually, when I studied Japanese in school, the first thing you learn in Japanese was just the names of the days and the sign for the kanji for like different elements. So that's the first thing you learn actually, because for example, when you write like a weekday in Japanese, you don't write here in English, and also we say like Wednesday, right? Wednesday, yeah. They have the days in Japanese. It's kind of like in the Mana game. If you ever play it again, Kazamon, right? In this game, every day is like fire spirit, water spirit. That's how it is in actual Japanese, right? So a day in Japan is called, for example, like the Sunday or the Moon Day, right? It's kind of like that. So the kanji for a sun, right, is it's like 2 squares with and then the getsu or tsuki and the moon is like a square with like an open in the bottom. I don't know if people can understand what I'm doing here, but I can draw it here, my aqua. But basically, sun is 2 squares, one like that, right, 2 squares, and the moon is like an open square, so it's like a square with like a little under it. And if you see that sign, then you see the weekday kanji, and then it's like day, so it's like sun. So if you read the sun's day, then it's like sun sign, weekday, and then it's sun again. So sun means day, right? Kuni, so also is day and so on. But if you see, for example, moon, weekday, sun, that means moon day, which is not, of course, which is like Saturday, right? So the different days, and the other days then are like fire, water, earth, and so on. so it really is that thing. So when I started in Japanese, it was like, oh yeah, it's like Naruto. It's like the first lesson was like, okay, it's all the Naruto things. Soiton, Katon, Dota. Okay, I get it. Easy to remember. And one day is like gold, right? Kan, yeah. And otherwise, I think Japanese, when you read Japanese, not all the kanjis, but some Japanese kanjis, in my opinion, they are kind of like, what do you think it means? So you use your imagination. And I think that works pretty well for at least the basic a few hundred kanjis. I think it works for the few basic kanjis. For example, fire you know, katon or ho, it's like an explosion, right? It's like a, you know, it's like a fire thing, right? And if you see hanabi, which means, you know, fireworks, right? Hanabi, it's like fire, hana, you know, means flower, right? And then you have bi, like fire in its sense. So it's like fire, flower, right? If you look at the kanji of that, hanabi is written as like fire and flower, right? And if you write something like moku, means tree, day of tree, and if you're gonna write something like, you know, bookstore, Honya's book, you're gonna write something like, you know, sign for moku, and then you have sign for like house. So you see, you kind of, so I think Japanese is pretty easy to read, because usually it's like, okay, what would I call a bookstore? Well, it's like trees, I guess, like a house and tree. And if you write something like, how say it, you know, if you talk about gold is kane, right? And ukane means money. So a Japanese language says, I've done that way back. I used to work with that. I should say immediately here, I have no idea who. I actually don't follow the fights that much. So I can say immediately a USD question here. I've been a martial artist myself. I train a lot, right? And I have a black belt, right? And several black belts. And I used to be a trainer. When I was 17, my first black belt. And then I've been training in the martial arts. But I never really been into sports. That's my big weak spot. If I ever did Jeopardy, I would fail the sport question. I'd be like, I don't know, soccer maybe? Yes, I'm horrible at sports. The one sport I ever watched was like taekwondo and judo, because I did them both competitively myself. So I used to watch those sports as a kid to learn stuff. So I'm just really bad at sports. But yeah, so on that notion, right, with the JLPT question there, I used to then work with translating games, right, from English to Japanese. That was one of the first things I did when I started in the game industry full time. So as a kid, I would do, you know, I would work on different games part time, right. During college, I worked on some different games, so on, right. But then when I got my first job then at Blizzard, as the first full-time job, I worked with you know, testing, classic first game robot, QA, and also then localization. So I translated stuff like Call of Duty, Skylanders, some Turtles games, Japanese or English, and stuff like that, right? So I did a lot of like translations, and I also worked with other languages like Russian and well, so Swedish and Norwegian and so on. So that was kind of funny. So if you ever play Call of Duty, I worked on 3 COD games, and one of them I done all the Russian, almost all of them for one game, and I'm not that good in Russian, so it's kind of funny. And I always joke with that because I was like, well, I'm a Swede, so of course I'm gonna have to pretend to be Russian, because if you ever see, you know, Dolph Lundgren, right, or Dolph, or like Peter Stormare and so on, those actors are Swedish, right? But they have often played like Russians. so I was like, well, it makes sense. You will have a Swede doing the Russian translation, because you think I am a Russian basically. So it makes sense. Yeah, I was like, it's just how it is. Yeah, you rather have a Swede guy do the Russian, because it's just how you think it is right there. So I learned to read Cyrillic. It's pretty easy in my opinion, Cyrillic. I think a lot of people are shocked by, what is this? You know, it looks different, but Cyrillic is like math. So a D, delta, is a triangle, right? That's a D. And sigma is a circle with thing, like a math. If you know physics, so I'm quite good, in physics and math, right? I'm very good at math. So I read Cyrillic as I read my math, right? Yeah, man of culture stuff. Favorite category? I don't know. It's a hard question. Well, mangaka, Shindo L, I love. If you're talking about that kind of mangaka, it's more hengai, I guess. I also like Shindo L. I'm a huge fan of, the transformative TS. Yeah, I really love that storyline. Not the Metamorphosis, but his actual hand stuff is really good with Shindo L. That is one of my favorites, definitely. We're talking about more family-friendly stuff. That's family, I think that I always say this thing. I always say to people, but I think one thing that I really like with the man of culture thing that people forget a lot is Tenshin Moyo. So I want to say the two when I'm doing it here. But I always say to people, Tenshin Moyo. So Tenshin Moyo is like the classic horror anime. So if you ever seen Tanshimoyo, it's the first horror anime basically, right? It's the first anime that kind of established all these tropes of like alien girls. It's like one guy, Tenshi, suddenly an alien girl, falls down in his garden. He's like, oh, it's an alien girl, and that's not an alien girl, and and they fight about his love, right, and so on. So it is one thing I think you should start with from a man of culture aspect. You should watch Tenshin Moyo, which is like the first horror anime. And if you see Tenshin Moyo, you're gonna recognize all these tropes that you see in every other damn anime about some crazy alien girl is very like tomboy, or Uneshan, and then some Shibi-wan, and then is some airhead Mihoshi, some kind of where am I? I'm lost there, and that kind of girl, right? And they have all kinds of tropes, walking in his in the shower or something, right, or accidentally landing in his onsen and so on. Yes, it's all there. But it's also really crazy anymore. You have like space battles and alien pirate warriors, and so it's interesting. And then actually, after this thing with horror, right? Horror animes used to be more crazy. Like they used to be cray in the beginning, like in the 80s, and then they become a lot more, I would say, normalized. Where it's like, oh, here I am, and I have 5 roommates, and they're all sexy, right? And it went less from. It went away from that, they're all aliens and furries and so on. Yeah, it was less diverse when it comes to like crazy stuff, right? And it was more like, oh, it's just 5 hot girls. And then around 12, 13 or so about 8-9 years ago, it went full wire in the other direction, right? Now it's like Monster Musume and everyone is crazy, and and then it went much more in that direction, right? So it was a few years, like 10 or so years, when the most horror was very much like, oh, it's just normal people. And now it's like going the other direction. Like every damn horror has to have like 10 different monster girls or something, yeah. I mean, sure, it had, of course, you have all horror scenes, but still, now they're more gimmick, I guess. Something like that. But Tenshin Moyo is a very interesting anime, I think. It starts the whole thing. And if you want to see something funny, if you're in on the man culture stuff, you should watch Loom. So if you're into like Darling in France, right? I love Zero 2 and so on, but if you ever seen Space Invader Loom, it is very similar to that trope too. You have some alien girl that comes in there. She's like, "You're gonna be my husband now," yeah, and she's like, "Husbandu, I will force you to be my man." And she's like the first girl there that was very very tropey of the whole hot attractive alien space girl that is suddenly in your life, and you get rid of her. She kind of makes you be your husband and so on. Yeah, so that's Loom. God, Loom from the 80s. It's super old. But her personality is basically 02, yeah. It's so, if you ever see that thing, and that's a tropey thing. That is so anime. Have you seen Listeners this season? Listener is in episode 1. Listener, he lives in this like garbage, garbage metal pile of trash, right? And he finds a girl, yeah, and he goes around, and suddenly like attractive female is lying there in the trash. He's like, oh, a female girl, and he picks her up and takes her home, and it's like into this mecha thing, and suddenly has like a mecha girlfriend, right? I'm like, yeah, this is anime. This is anime where you walk around and you suddenly just find like some super hot attractive girl that is now your wife or something, kind of like showbiz, right? And so on. So yeah, they really love that trope of just accidentally finding your super attractive female companion, right? Well, yeah, okay, see you, man. But yeah, some other questions. Yeah, but Shubis. You probably read Shubis, right? Because it was in the manga when we were kids, right? Shubis is exactly that. Shubis is the guy just finds this robot girl, right? She's like lying in some trash pile outside his house, something, and he picks her up. Yeah, exactly, Manga Man, and he picks her up, right, and he takes her home, and you have to, her button is like probably down there, right? You press her button or something, and the buttons are usually on the up high or something, and you have to trigger her, but do this stuff, and then she wakes up, and she's like a ultimate wife, right? That is just very, very anime. It's very, very, this is so anime, right? You have to find your person like that. It's like, man. I think it's like, could it be a college humor parody? I think it is, but I think it's college humor. They did this animation of what if the Ghibli movies were done by any other anime studio, and I just really loved the one because they joked about My Neighbor Totoro. If My Neighbor Totoro was done by any other anime studio, it would be like, I'm a sexy girl. Totoro will have huge knockers and be like, oh yeah, I wanna be your wife. Something that would have been Totoro, right? If it wasn't like, if it wasn't actually done by Ghibli, it would be a lot more, probably more attractive Totoro. Because that's always how it's in anime. You always find like a super sexy. That's why. Let me throw it here. My man of culture left behind, right? Have you seen Kamino DX? In Kamino DX, she's also very, very attractive, but she fights in this like super weird, ugly, quite quite a husky robot. So first, she looks actually really, non-attractive. I would like to see an anime like that, where the guy just finds this random girl, takes her home, and she's not attractive, and she's not the classic, anime. She's like a super, that would be interesting. Maybe it wouldn't, because it'd be pretty boring, but that would have been a new touch to anime, right? But yeah, throw me something else, guys. I can't just talk about weird horror animes, or I guess if we call them horror and those animes. Yeah, throw me a question about something interesting. Give me a live question or something. Let me break something down to you. Or I'm just gonna yell on here about random anime stuff, right? But I guess we can go back to top 5 animes. Otherwise, it's always so hard to talk about top 5 animes. Candy obviously number 1 though, but otherwise I always have a hard time. It's hard talking about animes that are ongoing forever, because even if they have masterful arcs sometimes, they also have questionable arcs some other times. So I tend to look at these shorter animes and say like, this is a good anime, right? Or a manga and so on. I guess I would say... okay, thank you for another question here, because I was talking about top 5 here. So, I wouldn't mind living in Japan. I have applied for a few jobs in Japan. I applied for Screenix actually, pretty recently. Talked to them a bit here. I'm looking at moving again. I talked to a company in Canada actually, just a few days ago, Gun Company, for a senior engineer. So I wouldn't mind moving. I wouldn't mind living in Japan again. It's a nice country and so on, and I really respect the work culture in Japan. Something I really dislike in other places is the work culture, right? I'll say it immediately. I have a strong dislike for my home country's work culture. So I prefer it in Japan that people actually work and they actually do stuff. The problem though with Japan is that you work all the time, right? You just work all the time. The problem with Japan is that that when you work in Japan, it's like you have really long days, and then you usually work on Saturdays, and it's very free time in Japan, right? One of the reasons I think that a lot of anime fans in Japan actually watch less anime than Western fans. The Western fans in Japan, a lot of anime fans, they're really into like a few shows. I think that's a big reason why is because they don't have time to actually watch like 10 different short animes. They can only watch like 1 or 2. They don't have time to really delve into that. So you really have less free time, of course, when you live in Japan. That's the big question. That's the obvious issue in Japan, right? And I like working though. I like working. Another thing I would say too is that I have become a really big fan of flex hours. That's a good part. I've seen Gate, when it was airing. But think is this thing here. One thing, flex hours. So flex hours. I don't know if you have flex hours where you live, but you usually have in the Western market, right? Flex hour has become a big thing, and I'm a sucker for that, honestly. So at my current job, of course I'm home now because of the issues, but last year then, I could come in whenever I want to, basically, as long as I'm there for what's called the core hours, right? So I will go up at like 5:30 or 5 or so, and I get to the office, right? And I can get to the office like 6. Maybe I can be at 7:30 or so, depending on the day. And then I can work, like from like 7 or 6, right? And I can leave the office at like 3 and so. Yeah, I can work my 8 hours. I can skip lunch if I want to. So I can work my 8 hours from 6 and go home really early, And I can actually leave and get home very, very early. So I really do enjoy though in Sweden and somewhat in America. So the flex hours, if you have to kind of you can do that. When in Japan, then it is much more like you are gonna be here at 9 and you're gonna stay here until 18. You know, in Japan it's a lot more like you're gonna be here these hours and you can't leave before this hour. You probably have the clock out thing, so you have to like. I have no. But you mean the Steins Gate? No. So I haven't seen the gates of my place because a lot of animes, right? And I talk about people all the time. People ask me, you know, can you react to X and Y anime? I only do more or less, animes that are releasing currently, right? Because I've been a big anime fan for my whole life, right? Since I was a kid. Graphic Attention Mojo and Sailor Moon and so on. So most animes, the people are like, oh, you haven't reacted to this anime. And I was like, well, yeah, but I saw it before I had the channel, right? So most animes that you don't find on my channel. Okay, no, you mean okay, I thought you meant Steins Gate, which is the classic anime, right? So Gate, which anime is Gate then? Which anime is Gate then? I reckon I see it in my head. Actually, like just Google it here then. Novel series. Okay, actually no, I haven't actually seen the anime at all. Gate doesn't ring a bell to me actually. 1615, no. Okay, no, sorry, I thought you meant Steins Gate. Okay, no, I haven't seen that anime. Gate Yitai Kanoshi Nite Kaku Takirai. Gate, the Japanese set. Oh, actually, but I know what. Is this the anime I've seen? Yeah, what's the beginning? It's Gate the anime where they have like tanks, stuff like that. Where they start out with that some kind of like American Japanese, where they fight with some kind of like elves versus like Japanese tanks. It's that Gate, right? Where they start off with some kind of military invasion of like an elf kingdom. See the beginning of anime. I think it's the beginning of anime. But then otherwise, yeah, most of my animes that I do, right, I've seen the animes when they were airing, and people ask me to, watch like Full Metal Alchemist, so on, like, but yeah, I did saw like, oh yeah, I've seen FMA, I saw it when it was airing, like I was a kid, I got my mom to watch FMA with me when it was airing, like, the original FMA, 2003, right, so way before I was doing any kind of anime reaction or anime review channel or game channel. I was like, no, I was watching like, Metal Alchemist and so on when it was new. So when it actually started, right? But yeah, Bushy Road. Huh. It's been nice in Singapore, yeah. But but I know what anime. Yeah, I can't say I've seen the most. I think like episode 1 where they have the military and so on, when Isekai. And I am a big Isekai fan, but maybe I'll check it out. So I'm talking about too much here, right? But I am writing my own Isekai. I feel all the time, but I love Isekai, right? And I'm writing my own Isekai, right? It's gonna have a goddess, and it's gonna be no, but I'm at about 300 or so pages now of my Isekai. I wanna finish like the first, the main arcs and so on. And the way I write stuff is the same when I write gaming lore. Like my last game, I wrote all the lore on the back and so on. The way I write is that I always write that almost the arcs first. So first I come up with like, okay, they're gonna be imprisoned here. Okay, so they're gonna be captured over there. She's gonna die here, and I kind of stuff on the main plot points, and then I write down the text, right? So the way I work with my own isekai is I'm writing all the plot points first, and then I kind of filling in the dialogue afterwards. So I have my big moments, then I kind of add in the text afterwards. So I'm about like 300 or so pages now, but it's basically 100 of those are like plot points. So I'm gonna expand them, right? In that sense, right? So for example, like you talk about Oda in One Piece, he seems to follow the same, I think, strategy. Because he's always like, I have the plan, prepared. He's right. I think I am similar to him in the sense that he's like, I think he has prepared all the big plot points, right, in One Piece already, like 20 years ago, and now he's writing in the text in between, right? So I'm kind of have that approach when I write stuff. I have this character here is gonna die here, and that's in my head, and then I write to that point, right? But yeah, it's interesting but that's kind of the isekai is a big genre, right? You always have you're gonna do anything with isekais, and you can just come up with that stuff, yeah. And of course, obviously, my isekai is Konosuba, right? But I think it's better I like parody, because I like parody, right? But I can say this thing, it's kind of similar to in the last game I worked on them, when I wrote all the backstory of the character and so on. I kind of wrote like that as well. When I started, first I write, okay, this character here is gonna have like an evil brother, his evil twin brother, okay, and then I kind of work like that. As I've said in my latest game, you have 9 different heroes, playable heroes, right? And then I'm working on the patch, so I'm always thinking ahead, right? I'm thinking ahead, it's like, okay, I'm gonna work on the patch for the next game, you know, for like the expansion pack, whatever, right? So I'm like, if this character here, he's the main character in this arc, he's gonna have an evil brother, his evil twin brother. He's gonna be a hero then in the next patch. So, you know, I'm always trying to work it in, you know, like how I have that stuff, right? And then, so even before I started working on the next hero, the 10th hero, I have his backstory in my head already prepared, like the general backstory. So like, he's gonna be evil, he's gonna be the opposite of the good heroes, he's gonna be, so I kind of worked at that, right? But yeah, of course, you're working for Slime 2. I waited for Slime. Alltså vet inte more Konosuba. I waited for more cautious hero. God damn, Isekai here. I waited for this thing too. I waited for my freaking. I waited for my REM. And they were telling me, oh, there's gonna be no REM next season. But like, that's for the start, right, of the whole issue, right? When we first heard about the postponing, we had R0 being delayed, and then it's been like every damn anime. And like I said, to hear them during this MEA, right? And I talked about that last week, that on this channel now, it's a little more gaming than anime, but one reason why is because, well, yeah, it's like half the anime has been cancelled. So, and I always did gaming before too. I always been a gamer / you know, a big anime fan. So the channel, I always did like Nier and so on, right? It was first aid channel, yeah, Nier Automata and all the gaming too, right? And there has been a lot of games coming out this. I'll say this one thing too, though. I think it's also just because there has been some games coming out this recent months, like F7 Remix or one I'm interested in, and on the same time, right, I'm at home because, yeah, I think everyone can figure out that we kind of stuck at home, right? So I also had more time to actually just play these games too. So that has been the one thing too. So I have time to just play games and I get paid for staying at home, right? So that's also a thing, yeah. But like I said, this thing, I think a lot of people feel the same thing, right? Man, it's really boring. I have not seen Kingdom, but I read Kingdom, and Arrow keeps telling me this, that the anime is not as good, right, as the manga. So I haven't seen Kingdom, the anime. But I like Kingdom. One of my favorite games, back to games here again, is Suikoden. If you play the Suikoden games. And Kingdom to me always gave me like a Suikoden feel. And of course Suikoden is based on the classic water margin, right? The shine is one of the 4 great work in China, right? One of the 4 literature work in China. So I think there is some obvious similarities there. That's why I liked Kingdom when it started immediately. I was like, yeah, this is good. There's another anime called Hero Tales, in English probably. Edu something in Japanese, like Edu Hero. Which also I think is similar to Suikoden and Kingdom. Those like fighting in China between different, you know, soldiers and some kind of political and stuff like that, right? So I always liked those kind of storylines. And I say it again here. I know Oliver left now, but here's last week. If you haven't played the game, I absolutely recommend Suikoden, right? It is very anime too. It's JRPG. You have 108 characters. It's political, drama, and it's, man, those guys are so good because they're so real. Immediately, you get like false flagging, betrayal. It's just like, it's really good games. And they have the typical, you know, Japanese apologetic storyline where it's like some guy is gonna arse some woman, right, and it's like in front of you, and it's just like a crazy game, and you know your best friend stabs you in the back, and it's just like literally, yeah, it's very very Japanese. Where it's like there's no censorship, it's just crazy. On that matter, let me give you a little other insight here from me. I would say one thing: old games and also old animes, same thing, right? Both Japanese role-playing games and animes in the 90s and 80s were a lot more brutal, right? And this is something I said for many years now, but definitely when I watched something like Goblin Slayer, I'm like, man, Goblin Slayer, this is like freaking, you know, this is like Berserk light. This is like Berserk for children. What is the shit? Yeah. I do think you can really see though how the West, for better or worse, it's more stuff being produced today because they have the market in the West, right? So they can make more money. But it definitely feels like, man, everything is so it used to be way more brutal. Stuff used to be crazier, and that goes for both. I feel Japanese anime and Japanese games, right? They're both like that. They're both like that. It's just they're censoring this, all this crazy stuff. Right? Not just censoring, but like I feel that people, even though Japan is very, non-PC and you do your own stuff, you still see it sometimes with the banning needs. But generally, I mean, like, I think you still see that they're like, well, this team you can sell, and yeah, it's like it's harder to get those crazy one out there, and especially I think in gaming, you see they don't write those insane storylines anymore. Not most copies at least. I think a great example of that is Tactics Ogre, which is from Yasuno Matsuno from Quest, before they joined Square Enix. If you ever played Tactics Ogre, it's also of course a very Japanese game. In that game, there's some insane storylines. So depending on, so you have different paths in the game, right? And I hate, for that matter, when people are saying that, Japanese role-playing games doesn't have different story routes. Oh, Western games. No, that's bullshit. Japanese games, not like Final Fantasy, but the other Japanese games, like Ogre games, they also have a lot of different, endings and different paths and so on, right? So I think it's so weird, this whole idea that the West games have this free open game, you can have different endings, but that's bullshit. Usually the Western RPGs have like 2 or 3 different endings, depending on one choice. But anyway, so Tactics Ogre then, classic RPG, you have a scene in that game where one of the female main characters, like female side characters, she gets like, I can't say the word on YouTube, right? But she gets armed, like by some army, and then she like commits, she deletes herself, yeah. She jumps off like a ceiling and kills herself because they're like, she gets so traumatized. Stuff like that happens in that game, right? Like, it's crazy, and it's your fault too. And it's your fault. The game is like, because you pick different, paths, right? So you didn't recruit her, so basically you have this woman and you can recruit her into your army. And if you don't do that, yeah, she's gonna get armed and then she's gonna kill herself. And it's like, okay, so that's how those games on this Super Nintendo, these are the games on SNES, right? In like the 90s, 95, 96, used to be, right? They were like crazy, yeah, they were like brutal as hell, right? But I think there's a mix there. I feel the games today then, and also with anime and so on, right? Both anime and games, like Goblin Slayer, is like a light version, right? I feel they are a little bit like, how can we sell this in the West? And they make it a little bit, we have to kind of, self-censor. I do feel they do that. I think it's one thing there. They wouldn't write like a new Square Enix game today where it's like, well, if you don't save this, if you don't recruit this female character, she's gonna get, this thing. Like that. They wouldn't do it today, right? That's one thing. Another thing I think, I've seen the anime view, but yeah. Another thing I would say too is that I feel it's about the graphics too, and also popularity, right? So when games and anime were tinier and smaller before, they weren't afraid of, and it was on Twitter and so on, but they were like, well, we can do this stuff and no one is gonna, complain because we only have like 10 fans anyways. I think that's one thing, and there was not so graphical. But I've seen the anime and I have actually played just a little bit of the game to Sega Saturn, right? And I had the Sega Saturn, I still have a Sega Saturn. I was one of those few Sega boys, right? I had my Dreamcast. I love my Dreamcast, okay? I should make a new channel called Dreamcast Mastering. I love my Dreamcast. And I was so depressed when Sega was, when it went bankrupt or whatever. That was like it's like a big thing. But yeah, so we had a Saturn, me and 2 friends. We were the only 3 guys with Saturn in the whole city. And we used to play Panzer Dragon, right? And we played Virtua Fighter 2 and so on, yeah. So we had those... Sega fanboy. And then one of my best friends, and he's a great guy, he has his own gaming channel, which is pretty big actually. And he had a Dreamcast, me and him, only guys with Dreamcast, and we played all those Dreamcast games, like Crazy Taxi, Virtua Fighter 3, right? Of course, Castle of Arcadia, of course, played that game, Sonic Adventure, and so on. And man, the Sega thing, yeah, the Dreamcast thing, it just died. Oh man. I have my Sega Dreamcast over there still. Yeah, it's like crazy how that man, it might be interesting about it. But I'll be able to explain it though. There's one thing that I want to say here when we're doing this random Ask Me Anything and I get my crazy ideas here, right? The thing is that, how do I say it? Sega as a company, Not so much with Sega Saturn, which we had at, but Sega as a company, for the Dreamcast especially, they were too crazy. Like, they had some amazing ideas. The Shenmue, quick time events. Shenmue invented the whole freaking... If we never had Shenmue, we wouldn't have like Uncharted and so on, right? Those whole games are based on Shenmue. Spider-Man, whatever, yeah. They're all based on the Shenmue system, right? That are quick time events and the story. That started in Shenmue, right? Shenmue is the game, they were so expensive to make. And then games like Jet Set Radio and so on, they were so crazy and they were awesome. I love those Dreamcast games. Having a Sega console was really, really awesome because they did everything crazy. But they was too crazy. So people didn't buy it because people were like, "What is this crap? They're crazy." Yeah, so the few people that bought it, we all loved the Dreamcast and the Sega. So we all loved it. Like, wow, these people are so innovative. They're so creative. But they were too ahead of their time, right? They invented like cell shading and so on too, but they were way ahead of their time, and then they just went bankrupt. It was really sad. I talked to Sega actually 2 days ago, so I like this company still there, right? But it's, man, they really changed there. But yeah, so I mean, I played a lot of those. I haven't played Unity so much, but I played a lot of course, visual novels, right? Of course, I'm an anime guy because I played a lot of visual novels. I'm a real anime fan, right? I played a lot of visual novels. My favorite, of course, is Bible Black. I grew up with Bible Black, and I remember as a kid when you watched Bible Black, you're like, man, this thing is crazy. And then when I got the game, and I made one of my best friends in college, I made him play Bible Black because have you ever played Bible Black? I mean, I'm just saying here, right? Like the anime or like the hand, right? It's like just a lot of stuff happening, yeah, in the anime stuff, right? But the actual BB game, it is actually really hard to survive. Like you die, you almost get stabbed or whatever, you almost get killed by some freaking Yandere chick. Like you know it's gonna kill you or whatever. Yeah. So like if you ever played that game, that old class is a very classic novel game, right? That game has like I think 14 or 15 endings. It's like 12 of them you die. So I told him like, can you play this game? And I wanna bet you like $10 you're gonna die in the game. He's like, I'm dying in the game? You're gonna die in this game. Like there's no way you're gonna survive this visual novel game, and he didn't. He got killed in like Shadow 6. Yeah, I was like, no, yeah, easy money. There's no way you can survive this game because it's crazy hard. That's one thing I probably actually Misfit. If you watch those anime version, right, of visual novel games, they're usually never having the bad ending, right? Yeah, they have like the true happy ending storyline. It's never like the horrible shit you have to go through if you play the game. It's like, man, these games are crazy. But yeah, there's a lot of metal culture games can bring over, but it's a question of the market, right? If you have money for that. For that matter, let me tell you this story, my topic. I find this so fun at least, and I can't even say this game's name on YouTube probably. But there was a game, a very man of culture game. Yeah, Rance. I have a friend who's a huge Rance fan. He played Rance in school all the time. He has his laptop. Yeah, it's a big Rance. He was sitting in during math class and we played Rance on his laptop during our lectures and so on. That was interesting. But let me say this thing. And I can't say the name here, but it's a game called R-Lay, okay? And you have to guess, you can Google it yourself here. Don't do it on your not safe for work thing. It's a game called Lay. And that game was banned in Sweden. And I remember this story so well. It was really funny. So basically, this game is made by Illusion, and the company is called. They also made like one of these like make your own girlfriend kind of games. So they made this game, right? 2006, 7, something like that. Like in 15 years ago, yeah, super old. And then, but it's funny because so the game was out for let's say like 5-6 years, right? It was never sold outside Japan. It only sold in Japan on Japanese, right? Yeah, And then in my home country, then of Sweden, suddenly this game was on the news. So suddenly this hen game was on the news for like 2-3 weeks. So this like this like massive hentai game, it was like on the news, and they were like, oh, this game is sold to the children. Think about the children. Oh, this game is horrible. Like you go after this mother and her daughters, and it's on the news for like 2-3 weeks. How to say it? This game was like, it's so hard to explain, but they were talking about this hen game on the news, and like the the minister of minister of law, something like that. She was out discussing this game, this like weird, crazy R game, right, from Japan that has never been released in outside of Japan. And she's sitting there on like morning news, like, yes, this game, this is the bad stuff of Japan, and we have to ban Japanese games and so on. So they banned that game in Sweden. It's never sold in Sweden though, but they banned that game, and it was crazy. So like a few weeks, a month there, when they were like going crazy over Orley. Gedan, I don't recognize, but I do recognize your Kiss though. I do recognize that, of course. Gedan. Know your meme. No, it's a meme I don't know. I'm not a super meme guy. Get down. Doesn't tell me anything, honestly. I'm not a very meme guy. Yeah, I'm no PewDiePie. I'm not PewDiePie. I do know my Kiss music though. Actually, when I was a kid, my best friend, he has a gaming channel. My best friend, his father's a musician. We actually used to do the Kiss makeup for Halloween. So we would go out and like I was like Starchild. I was Paul Stanley. He was Gene Simmons. Gedan. But when I Google Gedan, it's like some. It's like a crazy dance thing. Glitz thing? But I don't play any songs, because then we might get good town and so on. I'm not gonna play any. I wanna bother with. No, music is always like, if you do that on YouTube, you know how it's gonna go. So, especially on live, that's just like a no. But what was I saying? But yeah, I used to do a lot of Kiss parodies. No, but that thing was really fun. I remember this so well. It was like, that's not like crazy thinking about shitty examples. I remember it's some weird man of culture thing, and it was hilarious because no one had played this game. Like no one even knew what this game was. I mean, I can see myself, but yeah, Golden Boy I've seen, the old school Golden Boy, yeah. But Golden Boy was that early 2000. Yeah, it has to be really old, right? Golden Boy. It has to be. Yeah, even older. Yeah, 95. Yeah, I was thinking like early, late. Yeah, 96. The anime. But for that matter, right? When I was a kid, we had a very few anime stuff like that in OVAs. So the animes I had was like Tensho Moyo, Oh My Goddess for some reason, Sailor Moon of course on TV, and then we had Star Singer, if you ever watched Star Singer from the 70s, that was big in my home country for some reason, so you grew up on those OVAs, and that's kinda, you missed a little bit, I guess, from you were a kid. So you were a kid, you would go out and you will find these, like you will go to this electric stores, right, and they will sell the OVAs and like VHS tapes, right, and they will have the different animes on VHS tape. You'll be like, oh shit, and you will buy those, and it was a very different time. It was a very different time when you were a kid, before you had the internet. Yeah, I grew up before the internet, right, and you would go around and you would go to the electric stores and you would buy the OVA tape, the VHS OVA tapes, and that's how you got your anime. And it was a very strange thing because you would have to find the stuff, and no one has seen it before. And of course, as a kid, then you got over these really weird animes, right? There was more hem than anime, or it used to be a little more borderline stuff like Kit and so on. Was stuff that I saw as a kid, but I was like maybe 10 or so like that. And you saw the stuff, and they were like, it was weird in that sense, right? Because the anime was more brutal. But there was the animes you could find. So they had like Urudovsky and Keith and so on. Those kind of OVAs, kind of the borderline, hen/seinen animes, were the animes that you would usually find in the stores. Especially when you were in like older cultures and so on. Yeah, so that's a weird thing there. And also I would say then, one reason why when I watch stuff like, for example, I mentioned earlier about Goblin Slayer, you're like, man, they're not even showing the R scene. Yeah, like, you get kind of like, you're definitely kind of, broken as a kid. You're like, I have no soul anymore. This gives me nothing. Like, it is nothing. Yeah, like, where's the brutality? And also, I think I've seen Space Dandy. Yeah, I've seen Space Dandy, Watanabe, and that's the one crazy show. Space Dandy is one of the shows that I really love, and I also get confused about. You're like, so this just happened, and they're like, he died, but he didn't die. So Space Dandy, how would I explain it? It's like a weird fourth wall. It's hard to explain it, right? Basically, it's like, it's about Dandy, right? And he's a very, very dandy guy, right? He's a very, very dandy guy. The opening is amazing. The opening to, Now I Can Love. It's like a super weird stuff. It's hard to explain it. And what happens then in Space Dandy is it's about a guy that's the dandiest guy in space, right? And he's always trying to get like laid, I guess. He's trying to like have sex with, I guess, this like, hot bartender, like this kind of Hooters girl, right? And he does stuff to capture monsters, and it never really works out for him, and he like dies, but it's like time travel and it's like dementia stuff, and just every episode is just really weird. They're like, oh, he falls down into a volcano, and he's in the Stone Age now, trying to capture like an alien dinosaur to bring it home so he can seduce some hot chicks or something. And it's just a really weird anime. It's really crazy, and he dies several times. And then there is some alien gorilla guy or something that's out after him because they're like, this guy has the key to the universe or something. Because Space Dandy, he's some kind of like, he's like God or something, and this is the weirdest thing ever. Mecha robot anime. Well, yeah, exactly. It's like multiverse. It's like time travel. Space Dandy is crazy, and I guess it's like a mecha anime to some degree, right? And also he has like a pet cat, right? That's like that reminds me of. Have you read Saga? Saga, I think it's called. Yeah, from the same person that The Last Man. He also has like a space comic. It has like a cat as well. So it reminds me of Space Dandy, but in the sense that it's not premise wise, but not the storyline. Robot mecha anime. I do love, of course, Take It Up a Gurren Lagann, right? I love my Trigger stuff. You see the BNA started yesterday, Brand New Animal. We're gonna watch Brand New Animal final today, probably actually after this thing, after the break and so on, probably late tonight. Take It Up a Lagann, I guess. Darling in France, I do love Darling in France, and I laugh all the time, right? When they have that weird like, oh, I'm gonna make a nice, and to drive my mecha, I'm gonna like, gonna touch his girls, and like, yeah, so I think it's funny. I love Darling in France. It's comedy as hell. A classic mecha anime I like is like Eureka 7, right? Eureka 7 is a great mecha anime, and Darling in France is very similar in the storytelling to Eureka 7. It's like the same plot points, so it's very similar. Because Eureka's a really good character, yeah. It's a really good character, with Rento and so on. It's a great anime, and how would I say it? The spin-off is pretty bad, but yeah, it's what it is, right? I guess Code Geass, if that counts as a mecha anime. In Code Geass, right? They fight with mechas. I guess it's a kind of mecha anime. It's one of those classic, old school. I would say old school, but early 2007, 6, right? Mecha animes, I guess we call it that. Very famous, right? Has the same course of flow. That's open to both that and Eureka 7. I've never been like super into Heroic Age. So I'm thinking of, first of all, thinking of a game when I hear that. And also, no, what's that I'm thinking of? I haven't seen this one, no. Heroic Age. Japanese space mecha, space opera. I've seen like Yamato and the older ones, the old school ones. This I've never seen. From 2007. Heroic Age. It's one season, or like a long season. No, I've never seen it. I will admit that mecha animes is one of my weak spots, if you call it like. I have a friend. He's really into mecha animes, in that he watched like every Gundam episode, right? So I've never been that into those animes. Masterpiece of anime. I mean, I recognize the name, but I've never seen it. Heroic Age. based in Greek mythology, especially surrounding Hercules and the 12 labors. Yeah, so bitten the lion and so on. Huh. Not mecha. Well, usually the mechas are monsters, right? Usually the mecha are actually some kind of earth defense or humans that have been transformed into mecha or something. I don't know, but that's like a classic thing, a classic trope, right? Where the mechas actually aren't mechas. They're some kind of like, life force that looks like a mecha or something. Oh, I've seen that a few times. Yeah, but the mecha isn't actually a real mecha. Otherwise, I don't know. Eureka 7 might be my favorite mecha anime. We call it a mecha anime. And mecha anime is kind of interesting because, in the sense that they're talking from like a production quality. I don't know, but isn't the mecha anime genre kind of dead? And I'm just dropping it in. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying that they don't really do any more mecha animes. Is that just me? But isn't that kind of weird? Because mecha anime, when I was a kid, mecha anime was huge, right? Mecha anime was a classic Japanese. I mentioned Star Stinger, right? Mecha anime was like the classic anime. Star, fighting with mechas and fighting in space and so on. But today, the whole like sci-fi stuff in anime, it is so reduced, right? Now everything is isekai, right? It's fantasy, isekai. Yeah, I haven't seen. I would say so at least, because I'm thinking off my head now. How many mecha animes did we have last year? It was like 4 or 5 or so. It was very few mecha animes. But if you look back 20 years ago, it was so much mecha animes. Yeah, but two must seen, of course. I've seen like every damn battle royale anime ever. I've seen like every damn survival battle royale anime you think about. But Tomb is like, yeah, it's about a guy that plays. He's the best player in the world. And it's like survival battle royale, like Fortnite, right, with bombs. And then picks, and then it's basically like Fortnite if it was real life. Yeah, it's like the best. It's like taking Ninja, right, and putting him into a real life Fortnite and survive that. But they have bombs instead of. And recommendations. Well, is right now I'm really enjoying Hamafu, right? Suction Flag. Which I think is Isekai anime if I really love. I'm a huge fan of that anime. But a girl that dies and it's like in like a. Well, like Hamafu, she's stuck in, like she's the bad guy. Yeah, she is resurrected and turns into the typical like evil Disney princess, and she's like, I don't want to die. I have to become good and so on. I love Hamafura. Suction Flag. Tower of God I think is pretty good right now. With more new animes that are good and unknown. This season is so weird. There's a few animes. But anyway, I can answer the Resident Evil series. I have played Resident Evil here on this channel, I think. And you can probably actually find my Resident Evil on this channel. Maybe not. Without cams. I did, maybe on Twitch. I did stream Resident Evil 7 when that was. Maybe I did it on Twitch. I don't remember. I played the latest Resident Evil game. As a kid, I grew up with, of course, playing Resident Evil, the old games, right? And I really like Code Veronica. It's probably my favorite. I like the storyline with the cross-dressing brother and so on, the whole twins and so on. But I haven't played the remakes. I haven't played the remake games. No, I haven't played the remake Resident Evil games. But I played the old school ones, like almost all of them, except the 6 probably. Biohazard 6 there, yeah. Well, Tanya is Tanya is a cool character. I like Tanya, and I like how it's so it's so Japanese because it's so unapologetic. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna make basically the bad guy from World War II. He's gonna be the main character, but instead it's a girl, like a blonde, cute girl instead, and she keeps killing people. So Tanya is great, and of course I reacted to all episodes of It's Recorded, right? And I love Tanya with Ainz and their friendship and so on. But it doesn't really make much sense though, I have to say, when you watch Ainz and her, because, well, I mean, I like it, but man, Tanya is quite different in Isekai Quartet. It's more comedy, right? Yeah, it's more like, Konosuba comedy, more than, she doesn't act like as murderous anymore. But yeah, I've seen, of course, Tanya, and I've seen the movie as well. And it's a really good movie. And I love that the bad guy is called Mary Sue. Right? Tanya's rival is called Mary Sue. That's the trope, right? The Mary Sue, the perfect, girl, female character, and everything. Yeah, her rival is like Mary Sue. That's her That's her her rival. It's just like it is a great name. It's a really fantastic name. But yeah, Batum is like I actually really like Batum, and I should read the manga. Now we mentioned it because I have just seen the anime of Batum. I have just seen the Batum anime, and the Batum anime it doesn't necessarily conclude the series. So I should actually go and read the manga of Batum one day. I haven't, yeah, because it's one of those animes. I actually like the anime a lot, but I just didn't read the manga because the manga is kind of the anime ends at nowhere, right? The anime is like, oh, I killed a guy. There's like 10 enemies left, and it's over. There's no conclusion to Batum, right? But I do like those animes. I like the Battle Royale concept. I was a big fan of the Battle Royale movie when that was out, right? The first Battle Royale movie, the live action Japanese movie, the horror movie, which I just laughed at. I remember when that movie was out, I was like in high school, and the movie was out. Me, one of my best friends, we watched that movie and we were like laughing at it. We was like, this is comedy. They're killing each other. We just laughed at it. And then I went to school the next day, and everyone's seen the movie, right? And everyone was like, "You two are freaks," because you're like, "How can you laugh at the movie? It was horrible." I'm like, no, it's funny. So I don't know. I just laughed at Battle Royale. I always enjoyed it, and I would say one thing too here. Battle Royale as genre, right, is so massive today. And every damn game company, DICE, Activision, they're all like, oh, let's make a Battle Royale game, right? They're always like that, right? And it's so strange to me that the genre, I don't know if it took that long, almost it took so long time. Because when I was a kid, we were playing these Battle Royale games, especially on the Warcraft 3 engine, like had a game called Battle Royale and like Warlock and so on. We were playing those games way before they actually got popular. So when I was like, 16, 17, we were playing like the first Battle Royale games, and we loved them. And we were like, why can't a big corporation make a really good Battle Royale game? Then it's like 5-6 years later at least, then they actually got like Unknown Battleground and Fortnite and so on. It took like a lot more years. There's like a weird gap between there. But yeah, Runway, right? Barate, Smile at the Runway. I love the anime. One of my favorite anime last season. Very, very well. I did react. You can find it react to it on my channel here. Very well written anime. Really good characters, right? I like the ending. I want to spoil it here, but I like that the ending wasn't the typical. It wasn't the typical ending, so I like that. I really like both the female and male main character, right? Kind of has like two main characters back and forth, and I like the Kokoro, like the love rival / love. I don't know, female antagonist. She kind of has everything in there. But yeah, Smile at the Runway is interesting. And it really captures though. And I keep saying that when I did the review of it. It actually is a sport anime, right? And I'm a huge sport anime guy. I like Avshield, Ashpedal, Kurokun and Basket and so on. So I'm a big sport anime guy. And when you watch actually Smile at the Runway, it is basically a freaking sport anime. Because it's like, this main girl, she's always smiling, never giving up. It's like, that sounds like something I've seen before, like Ballroom or something. It sounds like a sport anime. And it is basically, right? And it has like a sad backstory. No one believes in her, and she's too short. It's exactly like Hinamori Sumo, or, Aino Sora, or you name it. Like, it's a short main character that is, no, you can't do sport. You're too tiny to be a sport, master. I will show you guys. So, it is a sport anime. Let's be honest here. Runway is a sport anime. It really is. It's a full-on sport anime. But I love it though. But man, it's a sport anime. And when we are on that notion though, and I keep saying this, one of the first animes I was reacting to on the channel is Ballroom, right? I was a huge Ballroom fan. When I started this channel, it was about that time that the Ballroom was airing. And I started doing like daily reactions, so it was about that time. I was a huge fan of Ballroom. Ballroom is this anime where they have like, the dancing, yeah. It's like a ballroom dance, but man, the anime is good. Like a sport anime. No one has seen it. I have a single friend that has seen the anime in real life, but freaking it's a good anime. They have this, it's done, by Agi Production. It looks like Smile, it looks like, Run with the Wind, yeah. Same art style, right? It's Run with the Wind after the anime. Great openings, such a good opening, and so on. But yeah, they're like dance fighting, and it's freaking awesome. The main character is awesome. There's this really good relationship with his like female partner. So oh man, I can't recommend Ballroom. Ballroom is so good. But yeah, one outs. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Kaji, one of my favorite animes of all time. One outs also in my top animes. One outs is an amazing anime, right? And I like Akagi too. I like One Out, Kaji, and Akagi. But in my opinion, Kaji is the best one. That is One Out. I think One Out is better than Akagi. But otherwise, I love everything from. And I read Prison School. Actually, I haven't seen the anime Prison School, but I read the whole manga when it was. I read the manga weekly when the manga was out. I was actually in Poland. I also had a job in Poland, was the game company there, card game company. We did like a trading card game, and I was living at this hotel next to the office, and I was reading all the manga on my on my laptop. I was like living at like next door to the office, so I was just reading a lot of manga there at my hotel room. The company was like paying for like my staying and food and so on, right? So I was living there for like 3 months. So I read a lot of manga and so on, and then I read Prison School and so on. But anyway, One Outs. Yeah, One Outs is like, how do I explain One Outs? They're playing baseball, and I always liked baseball as a sport. And I used to play the Swedish baseball called brännboll. I used to actually play a lot of brännboll, and I've been a brännboll judge at the Swedish Mästerskap. So I've even been like basically brännboll is like it's a baseball in Sweden, and I even been a judge at that at like the Mästerskap of the country. So I'm quite into the baseball thing, and One Outs then the base is so good, and I really recommend One Outs. It's an amazing anime because it is not like a baseball anime like Meiji or what's called Diamond and Ace, right? In One Outs, it's actually a psychological anime. It is an anime about how can I cheat, how can I trick people, how can I lie, right? It's not an anime about actually playing baseball. It's an anime about like I'm gonna do this thing or this thing. It's an anime about deception, right? And I love those animes because I am an evil person, right? I'm a complete evil bastard, right? So I love those animes where it's about how can I be the bad guy. And of course, One Outs, we are following Tokurichi. He's basically the bad guy. We're following the bad guy. He's the main character, right? He does a lot of bad stuff. He's like a bad guy, but he has like a heart of gold, I guess, in the, deep in there. But mainly he does everything to win, except I don't know. He does basically everything to win. He cheats, so he does almost everything. But he seems to care about innocent people. There's one guy he cares about in the manga after the anime's over, and he feels sorry for. So he kind of has like, I don't know. He tricks everyone and lies to everyone, but he doesn't lie and trick to like innocent people, I guess. He's kind of Robin Hood thing. He only steals from the evil people. He doesn't steal from the innocent people, I guess. Kind of like that. But otherwise, he's like a bad guy, right? And the concept of One Out, it is so good. So I can't say much about One Out, but it's so good because the concept is very, very simple. He's either throwing a fast ball, right, or a slow ball. So if you play baseball, they have different kind of pitches, of course, right? And he only has 2 pitches, right? Slow or fastball. So it's very, very binary, right? The binary is something that's either 1 or 0. So if you do a lot of coding, you talk about binary all the time, right? Binary. So I use the word binary all the time in my life, right? Because when you write like a script or a code something, you do some kind of stat stuff. Binary is either 1 or 0 for like digital, right? But also true or false. So if you're actually coding, a lot of coding is a lot about it should be false true. So if this happens, do this. It is false to anything else. So a lot of that stuff, right? So it's a lot of that stuff. And when you then do the whole One Outs, it's a very binary thing, right? That's true though. It's, yeah, 90 people, yeah. But then when you do when he's playing baseball, he's either only doing fast or slow ball, right? And that's the whole anime. So he's like, it sounds really simple, but what is so funny in One Out is he always knows exactly what he should throw, right? He always knows exactly what he should throw, and that's the funny thing in One Out. He's always aware of, should I throw a fastball or a slow ball, and that's the whole thing, right? He's always like figuring out, okay, this guy, he plays like this, and then I lied, and I said this thing, and I'm reading. Like he's basically like a mind reader. Somehow he manages to read his mind, and he always throws the correct ball. And everyone hates him, like the other character hates him, because they're always like, how does he know what I'm doing? So it's a very interesting anime. And then he tricks people all the time, so he cheats, and oh man. It's very, very interesting. It's very interesting. But he reads people's mind in similar to Kaji, how it makes sense. He reads them like in Kaji, where the reading isn't just I'm reading your mind, but it's like that this body language. This guy is irritated for this reason, right? This guy is agonized. This guy is this. He reads people, right, and he analyzes their behavior and like their relationship. If their wife is angry at them, he goes over like this kind of thing. Right? It's like yes, this guy is ready for a slow ball, something like that. Yeah, this guy's battery range is this bad. So it's very, very interesting. And I think, same with Kaji, I think that those two anime, Kaji 22, is one of the most. It's like a good anime to watch to learn stuff. Like even if I studied that for my master's degree, even though I studied human psychology for my master's degree, even if I did that, I still feel like sometimes when I watch Kaji, like this teaches me more than a book ever did, because it is really, really good in explaining like, well, this thing here, it's like, yeah, that's true. There's a lot of things that the author is pointing out, especially in Kaji, right? It's like, that is true in real life too. If someone does this phone call, that means they're lying. Or, yeah, that means this thing. Of course, it's not always true, but it's a lot of points in most animes, in Kaji and one-outs, that are very, very true in most situations. It's a very interesting, very, intelligent written anime, and I couldn't recommend it enough. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. They're both really fantastic. Unfortunately, with the anime and the one-outs, I read the whole manga, right? The manga is definitely not as good as where the anime picks off, like, or at least, where the manga picks off. Definitely gets a little weaker the further in they go, and he gets like 3 other players who's gonna train them, and it's a little less good when he gets these other people into that thing, right? It's weird, but yeah, that's the. I could recommend this one more, and I really love those. As I mentioned, right, human behavior, psychology, and so on, right? And while I'm at it, right, maybe one day I will do a book review about that thing. But while I'm at it, let me get the thing. Oh. So I have this, my favorite books over here. So while I'm on topic, I have it here on my bookshelf. So this is like my favorite book here. This is called Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman, which is the Nobel economic winner of the Nobel. How say it? He is a psychologist. Incredible book, but it's written. He won the prize in economy. But this book, then, Thinking Fast and Slow, it's about human behavior, right? So this is one of my favorite books. Best book I read, maybe. I really love these books, right? Game theory and so on. So basically, this is like a book if you wanna read, like the Nobel Prize winner explaining Kaji in like a studio. Yeah, this is like Kaji done by a scientist, right? Done by a Nobel Prize winner. This is the book for you if you like Kaji or if you like one-outs, but you wanna read like how does a scientist cheat. So this book is fantastic. It's all about cheating. it's incredibly much about cheating in this book. It's so much like if you say this thing, you can trick them. It's so much. One good example I have. It's like, when did World War II start? 33 or 34? And I see the chat picks up here. When did World War II start? 33 or 34? Hopefully someone in chat can correct me here. You're probably all googling this now. He was like, oh, I'm gonna Google this thing. Get the water here, see if someone can figure it out. Yeah, do the funny joke is that the point there, of course, is that World War II didn't start at 33 or 35, right? Or 34, whatever. Those are both wrong answers. So this book here is a lot about how to prune people, how to trick people. So if you say, for example, I'm going to give you 2 false, right? I'm going to give you 2 advices or 2 questions, and either option is the wrong option. So you can't actually win. You can't actually get the you can't get the right option right. Of course, you have to answer and say, no, they're both wrong. It's 39. You have to say like, no, this is the actual year. That's a classic way to like trick people, for example. So you present a case where it's like, because the way you pronounce it and the way you say it, you sound confident that either way, this is one has to be true, right? So people are gonna pick one of them. So most people will pick either A or B, even if they're both wrong, because they think that why would he lie to me? Why would he give me a wrong option, right? So you train in your brain, like a test, right, to assume that it has to be either A or B. But if I do that thing to you, right, I trick you. So if you play a game, for example, and I want to cheat, right? If you play some kind of board game or whatever, right? Like a card thing, and I give you 2 bad options, most people will be like, oh well, it has to be A or maybe B. But the trick is that they're both wrong. It should be either of them. But most people will fall for this thing, right? Because they're not questioning if he has an agenda or something, right? So it's like a very typical mental thing, right? You have to think about that, right? I don't read manhwa, unfortunately, I guess. That's the only one, Tower of God. I probably read some. I read some manhwa like in the past. Currently, I'm not reading that much, honestly, manga either. I used to read huge amount of manga, particularly, and some manhwa too. But then it's going down a bit now. Mostly doing anime now. I also used to have, for that matter, I used to have like a huge Marvel blog back in this, right? I had like a huge Marvel blog with with like 1 million viewers per week. So I used to have a huge Marvel blog, but I got tired of Marvel. So yeah, so I had a period when I read a lot of stuff, both Marvel, manga, some manhwa. But then I moved to the country, and also that I felt that Marvel was just dropping it. That's my easiest answer. So I'm gonna make a very long answer. But also period there when I felt, especially that Marvel comics, I was like, man, they are completely dropping their storylines. So I was like, I can't read anymore. So then I stopped reading, and then I kept, of course, reading some manga mainly. And then I kind of dwindled a bit there. Unfortunately, dwindled down a little bit. I think for me, there was a period in my life. Oh yeah, of course I've seen Hero. Don't you see my restarter here? What is that insulting question? Don't you see my beautiful restarter shirt? I took one of my beautiful restarter shirt there. But I was gonna say that I think one thing for me though, I was reading so much more manga before while the big 3 was big, right? So I grew up with kind of following, Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, right? Here's my Bleach poster up here, right? See the feet there, yeah. So I grew up following those stuff, right? Those the big 3, and during that time, then when the big 3 was big, I had like a period where it was like, oh, today is manga day, usually on Thursday. Okay, so today is manga day, so I'm gonna go now, and I'm just gonna go and read, all these mangas, right? So I'm gonna go read the 3 bigs, and then I'm gonna go Fairy Tail, and I'm gonna do this thing, and this thing, and this thing, and then some manhwa. So it's kind of like a period there. Where because I had this like the big 3, and I would go in there and I would read, like 10 more manga. Right? I would read so much stuff there. I was really into just reading a lot of that stuff. But then when the 2 of the big 3 that were placed, and that just ended, and Fast Tales ended and so on, and now I only have One Piece left. I kind of I saw reading Macadamia, I guess, but it was like kind of like I felt a period there when I went from reading like at least 10 or more mangas and other comics and so on, like like a whole day of just reading a lot of stuff, into like, it's only One Piece I care about now, so I'm gonna do One Piece here, and then I'm like, whatever. It's only One Piece that exists now. Isekai manga. Well, I'm gonna Google that then. What is it about then? Isekai manga. 1, 2, P. What is the English name of it? I'm too tired to read Japanese. Lincoln Hakon. It looks very isekai when you see the when you see the art and so on. Well, the Black Clover thing is interesting, right? I did a video about that this last week, and how I say it, the Black Clover thing I think is interesting. Talk about here briefly again, even though I already covered it a bit last week. But then, yeah, 2 years ago I did Squishy Black Clover, right? Mugi Black Clover. Black Clover, I found it very interesting last week. I talked about it in another video then. Is how I'll say it right. Black Clover was like the longest watching anime for me in such a long time, man. So yeah, see you, Catman. Have a great day. But yeah, Black Clover thing I felt was so strange, right? Because like I've been watching Black Clover since week 1, right? So I've been watching Black Clover every week, and, 1 episode per week, right, since it started. And I have done it before with like Bleach and Naruto and so on, right? And One Piece. I've been following those stuff for a long time. But Black Clover definitely was the latest anime that I watched from episode 1 until we're currently at 132, right? So it felt really strange. I felt it last week where you suddenly didn't have Black Clover anymore. Suddenly you didn't have that Black Clover, the kind of the weekly Tuesday. I was always Black Clover, yeah. So that was a really weird feeling to me because some of the other animes, I think especially compared to R0, in R0 I'm like, oh, R0 is delayed because of obviously the issue we have in the world. R0 is delayed, and I'm like, well, I already waited for like, I don't know, 4 years for R0, so whatever, yeah. It didn't feel like a big thing because I was already sitting there waiting for R0 to, never coming anyway. So when R0 was delayed, it was very sad, but at the same time, I was like, well, it's probably gonna be like whatever. It's coming one day, right? Yeah, it didn't feel like a big change in your life, but it definitely feels strange now when Black Clover isn't going anymore because there has been that weekly Tuesday for over 2 years. So that feels really strange. To some degree, One Piece too, and so on. But One Piece with anime, even though I like the anime to some degree, I'm reading the manga, right? So I'm not overly interested in 2.5 Seduction. That sounds like a good name. Yeah, 2.5D. That's something I want to say too, where you already asked me anything. One dream I've had for quite a while is to get invited to some kind of, talk show or something. I would just love that. I would just love to have the chance and sit down and be like, talking to some random government, TV channel or some crap and be like, let me explain to you a waifu or something, yeah. Let me explain to you 2D girls are better than 3D girls or something. It's quite unfortunate, yeah. But it's kind of funny too because I saw that just a few weeks ago, for example, in my home country, in Sweden, hentai, right, is like the biggest thing on on the hub, right? Yeah, on the look at those, the search terms for ecchi stuff, right, on the internet, yeah, and it's like, oh, so yeah, the people actually like this stuff. People like the 2D girls. Come on, yeah, but no one ever talks about it. So I would love to be invited to have some debate shows, right? I would like to be invited to a debate show and be like, I'm gonna explain this shit to all the normies out there. Let me explain to you, youths, or something. I was on TV many years ago, on serious television, yeah, a few times actually, but I was there for more like gaming then, right? Yeah, I was there for violence for the gaming, and I was there for some other stuff as well. But that was way back, like 10, 12 years ago, trying to explain why games aren't killing people or something. But yeah, which is always a silly topic, right? Because it's always the ape has really disproven that, but it's also that if you look at, for example, Japan, right? Look at Japan, and it's like, well, they have very low, murder statistic. It's really low there. It's really low. And it's like they play a lot of games, but they don't kill each other. Raw hero. That sounds raw and brutal. A raw hero. But yeah, Ask me some other question. Ask me, come on. No one's asking me some weird gaming question. I was hoping someone's gonna give me like, why does this paper doesn't work? I prepared this explanation of why people suck at their job or something. That's what I'm actually like talking about. That's my real me explaining. It's like, well, this is why these people suck. So that's the real me. That's the real me. Let me say this thing though. Let me say this thing. Why we're talking about gaming? So let me say it here on the internet. That's why I put it on the channel. But the worst people I know to work with in the game industry, I work in other industries too, right, is people that they don't have any goal anymore after they got their first job. Like that's so something I've seen in with game industry is that people are, a lot of people actually, are really bad at actually having like a specific dream. See what I mean? So they have a dream of like, I want to work with games, right? That's the dream. They don't have an actual detailed dream. It's like I want to make the best character hero ever. I want to make this amazing, level design of this great cool castle or whatever. I want to make a really cool system design, like a game design. I want to make a good system, cool character development, mechanics, and all that. They don't have an actual specific dream. Like this is what I want to make happen, right? And instead, the dream is like, I just want to work with games or anime, so I just want to be in the dominion of the field of the industry that they're interested in. Those people basically always suck at their job. Yeah, let me throw that out at least. No, but they do, because you meet these people and they're like they're willing, first of all, do any kind of job, right? So usually don't have any actual opinion of what they actually do, right? And when if they actually get a job, which they might get then, unfortunately, they're usually like, man, they don't do stuff because they're so into use like, I just want to be here, right? Yeah, and they're not really like trying to think of, I want to make like the best, I don't know, PvP game in this sense, or the best balanced, or this math thing, whatever. They just want to be at that office, and so they don't have an actual dream, like an actual detailed dream. And I've seen so many people in my life, especially when I went to Blizzard, that are people that the whole dream is like, they just want to be at Blizzard, right? Yeah. And then when they actually are at Blizzard, they're so afraid of not working there anymore, so they always become completely, coward into being a yes sayer, right? Yeah. Because they don't want to mess with anyone. They don't want to make anyone angry at them, so they're just afraid of ever saying their opinion to. So they're so, man, it's such a common thing. Like when I worked at the company last year, not so much my current company, but the company I worked before this company, it was a big issue how everyone was such a... I was the only person ever saying against the owner of the company, yeah. Only person being honest. Everyone else was like so afraid of ever saying the truth. And one reason why was because they basically hired so many fresh junior graduates, and then they would just be like, whatever, the owners, they'd be like, yeah, boss. They would never have a guts to say wrong, because they would have the first job and so on. That's how you create a company where everyone just tells you that you're right. You only hire junior people that are afraid of you. So I don't know. So yeah, ask me some. Come on, people, ask me some other questions. You can't just be anime. God damn it! If I'm only an anime guy. See, this book here is great. Ask me about sociology. Ask me about my freaking degree. No one ever cares about my actual skills. Ask me how I cheated in the game and so on. I used to be very good, at magic. I used to be very good at, magic gathering and so on. And man, I used my cardio skills. I used my mentality skills to impose fear in people, so they would play wrong and so on. Yeah, that's half the game. I'll be like, no, this is how you defeat. Yeah, it's very interesting. What more can you say? Of course, I should train a lot, right? Martial law. You can ask me about gaming. No, but you can ask me about fighting people, right? I used to fight all people all the time, right? I used to, work as a merc. No one knows that, but now that's not all the channel. But yeah, I used to work for that, right? Yeah. So my actual job, currently, I'm a UX director, right? So I work with game design, right? UX design. So currently then, as a UX director, I get to do kind of everything with the design thing. So UX, of course, means user experience, and the common thing people misunderstand, even in the industry, which is very unfortunate, is that UX is not UI. So it's not about this is a freaking user interface. UX is more about, okay, so I'm gonna make a game, and it can be everything from like, where should I market the game, because it's like, where are the users for this current game, right, for this kind of genre, and it can be from that into like, how fast should you level up, or how should it look, right, or what classes should it be, and so on. So it's a grand it's a grand mixture of everything. And I also give lectures and so on, right? So I work a little bit with lecturing and UX workshops. That's a better word for it, probably. And it can be cultural stuff as well, right? Human analyzation, human behavior. The basic UX stuff is like the personas and infographics, and trying to explain to someone how they should, what to do and so on, right? Otherwise, of course, I used to do game design, right? Design mechanics, and I write, lore and so on. I don't know what you mean with money tools, but otherwise than that, I also make money, betting, using kind of similar mentality there. I bet money on like political stuff, right? So for example, I bet a lot of money on Trump gonna win about 2.5 years before he won. So I made a fortune that Trump won. So I made a lot of money that Trump won, right? So it's very good for me that he won. And I also wanted money on like Brexit and so on, right? So I'm very good with that. Human analyst, kind of, analyst behavior and so on, right? So I do that stuff a lot, right? So I made a lot of money on that. And that's why I don't care about money, I guess. I never care about money, but it's more about just kind of fun, right? Just fun betting money with stocks and so on, day trading. Yeah, it's just fun. I do it more because it's fun, right? But the Trump thing was fun too, because I betted a lot of money, not just on Trump in like a singular thing, but I also betted money with people, like one-on-one bets, right, with like friends and so on. So I betted a lot of money on that, and I made a lot of money. So that kind of comes back to this, this human, economy. Yeah, I'm in my 30s. Yeah, I'm an old man. You see my hair? It takes a lot of time. Actually, my hair goes pretty fast, but it takes a lot of time to get this gray hair, right? So I'm an old man, but I had my master's degree when I was 21. I went straight into college, right? At school, I was like 6-7 years ahead in math. So, but I was like 6-year-old. I was already doing high school and like college math and so on. So I kind of quickly went through that, and I got my degree, and I did some papers and published paper like a few years. And stuff like that, right? So I was kind of quick out of school there, and I also did some PhD stuff, and I was like quickly going through that. But yeah, Dark Souls. I played Dark Souls as the first game, right? I played Sekiro. I hope it's his channel. I hear on Twitch at least, Sekiro. You can find it more on my Twitch channel. But yeah, I did Sekiro, and of course I always play Sekiro, never using a revive, imposing myself on myself. And I played Neo 2 here recently, right? So yeah, I like old hard games, right? And I like kind of Dark Souls Berserk vibes, if it's like Berserk, right? But yeah, I always like hard games, a challenge. But I do, and I want to say this thing though, where I got the Dark Souls topic down, because I hate the people always like. I have to say, I'm not a big fan that everyone always compare everything to Dark Souls. That everyone's always like, is this Dark Souls hard? Like, what is it called? Cuphead. Cuphead is like Dark Souls. You can't beat the tutorial in Cuphead. It's like Dark Souls hard. I never felt that saying made any sense, because while Dark Souls and similar games, Sekiro and so on, is hard, single player game is hard, they are not that hard compared to actually playing like a fighting game, right? Or like a PvP game. So to me, it never made much sense, because if you ever played someone in like Street Fighter, and they're a really good Street Fighter, that is a lot harder than playing like Sekiro or whatever. That's also, yeah, it's a lot harder, right? Because you're playing this boss battle guy, he's like Hadouken you constantly, and you're trying to like, okay, I have to time his fireballs, I have to get in there, and then you finally feel that you're getting that timing of his fireballs, and it's like Suryoken, and he punches you away, right? And you're like, god damn it, yeah. So if you play a fighting game, I think playing the fighting games, they are so much more harder than Dark Souls, because it's the same kind of thing, right? That you're trying to fight like a boss character, which is the other player, but that boss player is reading you and he's learning how you are playing, right? He's jobbing you, he's learning how you are playing, so you think you're beating him, but he's actually beating you, right? Yeah, he's forcing you. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so we're in an AI game. We are playing something like a Souls game. You learn to roll, and hit it, right? You learn to see the pattern. It's all about pattern recognition, right? You learn the pattern in the game that the AI is doing, and then you're beating that pattern, and you beat the boss, right? That's how a game works, right? It's pattern recognition. High IQs, because yeah. But you're playing a fighting game, and I mean, there is a pattern there. But then the pattern changes, right? But then the guy's like, he has seen my pattern. I have sandbagged him. I'm gonna change my pattern, and you lose anyway, right? So that's why it's so much harder. It's so much harder. And if you play other games like StarCraft, I used to play a lot of StarCraft 2 competitively, and they're so much harder, right? It's like you have to do all this stuff, Here's my, you have to put your keyboard and do all this crazy, stuff all the time, right? And you do it in the flies, and it's much harder for your body, for your brain to do all the things, the micro and the macro at the same time, and it's the same mentality there, where your opponent is also reading your mind, right, and trying to defeat you. So I like the Souls games, but I never liked the whole culture of talking about that they are so hard and they are so complicated. I've never been a big fan of that. It never made any sense to me. They've never been that hard, I feel. I mean, you die a lot, but then you learn the pattern and you defeat it. So, go back to Tekken. The thing is, Tekken is that what I don't like with Tekken game is that I lack. I want the fireballs. I want the fireballs. I like that when you're playing the 2D fighting games, you have that control mechanics, right? And I'm a big fan of like Guilty Gear and Blast Blue, and I like those mechanics where like I can build a trap, I can like place the shit over here, and I can trap you in some kind of weird, magic projectile stuff. You have to kind of get over that. When I play Tekken games, in my opinion, the characters are all too similar. I'm not saying that every character, of course, there are a lot of differences. But if you look at my research, and I did a paper about fighting games, I wrote a paper about fighting games like 10 years ago, and in fighting games you have 8 different archetypes, right? So you have 8 different gameplay archetypes, and like Tekken lacks the control archetypes, doesn't have the strong control and speed control. They don't have a character like Guile or a character like Axolo, right, or Testament or like Dormammu. They lack those like crazy control characters. Because Tekken doesn't have projectile, they don't have traps and so on, and they have counters, but they don't have really that stuff. So it doesn't give you that gameplay. And when I enjoy in fighting games, I enjoy playing the hard controlled characters like Dormammu in most Capcom, or Axolo like Guilty Gear, or Testament in Guilty Gear. So I like playing those heavy controlled characters where you play out traps and you kick them away and you control the zone, right? And that doesn't exist in Tekken because they don't have that those mechanics. So that's why I don't play so much Tekken anymore, Tekken 3, because they don't really have that hard control characters, right? Where it's all about keeping the opponent away, making some kind of fireballs, zoning them away, right? And if they ever get close to you, you're dead, right? You're gonna insta kill you if they ever get to you. But you don't really, don't have that that distance, right? So. Not really the same thing there. I used to play a lot of SF Tekken actually for a while, and then I did play Lily as my main character. So I played Tekken and so on, but it's kind of similar there, right? When I play a game like Tekken, I do want to play a character that has the counter ability. I need to play a character that can counter, so I can feed that control. I need to be able to like counter you. I need to have that with the character. So I need to play something like Lily that can counter. And for example, I do prefer, Soul Calibur more than Tekken, right? Because in Soul Calibur, you do get that. It's a 3D game, but it gives you that control, right? Astaroth I like, right? In Soul Calibur. Astaroth and Nightmare and other character with like long range weapon, right? So I kind of like that, Geese Howard is a bit too. But I mean, Tekken doesn't really have. I mean, Tekken doesn't have the dimension, right? So if you look at it more like a dimensional game pattern. So you have 8 different archetypes with different kind of game design patterns, and Tekken lacks the whole pie chart of control, right? Because it doesn't have projectiles, it doesn't range abilities. You have Akuma, I guess, but it doesn't really have that. Where in Soul Calibur you have the long range weapons. You have the Ivy, you have the Nightmare, you have the Asteroid. So that gives you that control mechanics. While Yoshimitsu, he has like weird stuff, but it's not really the same thing. Yoshimitsu is an all-round character because he has a lot of weird shit. Right? He doesn't really have control mechanics, he has like all-round crazy mechanics. I would say this thing, if I have to play a 3D fighting game, my 3D favorite game that no one ever plays, but it's my favorite game, is Virtua Fighter. Virtua Fighter is it's amazing for that 3D aspect. So it's like a... How would I explain Virtua Fighter? What I felt is good Virtua Fighter is that it's kind of like playing like a real fighting. If you ever fight someone in real life, that is kind of how Virtua Fighter feels. Because you have everything, is like, you can counter everything. Everything is like, I'm doing like a full circle throw on you, like a Sandy pile driver, but you can counter that by doing another full throw by your side. So, I probably would play Noctis, in Tekken, so I can fly around like Final Fantasy style. Yeah, I probably would, right? I have to play something like this is crazy, but it's just that it lacks that the control. It doesn't have the control mechanics. In Virtua Fighter, it's 3D game, but you have the control mechanics because if someone attacks you in that game, you can like counter them. They can counter your counter. It's like, I counter your counter with my counter. It's like a Yu-Gi-Oh fighting game. You're like, counter. And it's so much like that, right, in Virtua Fighter. It's like a crazy, weird, mental fighting game where it's like, to do a simple attack, it's like back, forward, punch, kick. It's like one ability, yeah. It doesn't become a combo, and you have to like combo that. And it's a weird thing to explain, but basically, in Virtua Fighter, every throw is counterable by doing the reverse throw. So if I do like forward, back throw, and you do then if you do forward, back throw, you're gonna cancel my special throw rights. That makes the game, so it's a mental game, because you're always like, I think he's gonna go with the full throw in that direction, because he's playing like some kind of judo master, so you have like 20 different throws. So yeah, you should try with the fighter. You have like Aoi and Go and so on, they have like 20 throws, and Wolf, 20 throws. It's the German specs combos, yeah. So you have like so many throws. So they have to think about that, right? It's a really weird fighting game. But otherwise, I like the extreme fighting games, right? Mars Capcom, right? You have Dragon Ball Fighters, I played a lot, yeah. Dragon Ball Fighters, right? And of course, played a lot of Dragon Ball Fighters. Where you have that extreme combos and you fly around in the sky, you're like, and you're like, Kamehameha, and it's like Kamehameha again, and it's like Kamehameha again, and you do like triple Kamehameha, right? And you go like C Factor, and I play Hit mainly though, but yeah, you do the times thing, and and I play Hit and Kid Buu mainly though, so I don't do much Kamehameha, but still, you have this weird feelings, like 3 against 1 character left, you enter with your Kid Buu, and you like C Factor time, and you kill all 3 of them in one combo, and like that kind of, craziness. So I am, of course, an anime fan, so I am very weak for those anime fighting games where everything explodes and it's just crazy, and you do a special ability and it's like a freaking epilepsy attack, right? You're like, Kamehameha! The screen's like blinking and you're like, oh shit, my brains. It's like a rainbow. It's a rainbow attack on the whole screen, right? And your brain is like, it explodes from the inside immediately. Those games I like the most, I guess, though, for fighting games, where it's just crazy, right? But I will say one thing, which I probably why I stopped playing Dragon Fighter so much and went back to 5, is because the game is a little too much. Now it's your turn, and then it's my turn. It's a little bit like, I'm playing young Gohan, or young adult Gohan, but not Super Saiyan Gohan, yeah, like the middle, the Gohan with the black hair, yeah. I'm playing adult Gohan, but not Super Saiyan Gohan, yeah. And it's like, it's my turn. Bam, 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 bam. And I do a combo with you, right? And all the cat's like, block, high, block. And it's like a 15-second combo, yeah. But you can't, but it's a block string combo. So I was actually comboing you, but you're blocking it, right? But you have to just wait. And I like block combo. I summon my Vegeta. It's like combo, block string combo. And then eventually, after like 15-20 seconds, my block string is over, and then you can attack me. Then I have to block your attack for like at least 10 seconds, right? That's a lot how Dragon Ball Fighter is. It's a lot about you attack me, I defend that, then I attack you and you defend that. And eventually we might get a combo in. And when the combo starts, you're gonna die. Have your life easily, yeah. So, I mean, I like the game, but it's too much. I used to play with a coworker. He's a very, very good player. He's like one of the best players in the country. And he's a coder guy. He's a programmer. He's like, he does combos. Like, he does the perfect combo every time. He's like very, methodical guy. So he has perfected the combos in the fighting game. And his combos are like freaking 30 minutes, 30 seconds. It never ends. It's like combo. You have to just wait until the combo's over, and then you can finally do your combo. So you can basically leave your controller for like a half a minute and come back. Yeah, that is an issue with those anime fighting games. There is too anime. It's like, I'm gonna do this shit here for a minute at you, and then you can do your combo for a minute. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing there. In the end, I kind of like it when it has a little more footsie control back and forth, right? But I mean, I can talk about fighting games forever, right? I'm a fighting game connoisseur. I'm a huge fighting game guy, right? Of course, it's very, very anime, so it fits my motif, right? I'm gonna play those games that are similar to an anime, yeah. And I probably almost played every damn fighting game. I have 3 arcade sticks, right? So I have collected my share of arcade sticks, and I still remember the first time I was playing a fighting game. I was on a trip with my family. We were in Norway, up in the fjällen in Norway, the hills in Norway, and we was at a hotel in Norway, and they had this arcade machine, and they had Street Fighter 2, and I was like, what is this? What is this thing? And I was like playing Dalsim as the beginning, and I was like, Dalsim, this is my man. Yoga Fire, Yoga Flame. And I was like, man, this is the shit. So Yodio, the first time I watched Yodio was actually, so I was working at Blizzard, and I was working with this great guy named Alejandro, and he was an anime fan too, right? He was talking about anime at office, and he was like, have you seen Yodio? I was like, I heard about Yodio, but I haven't actually watched it. He's like, you're gonna see Yodio. and he kept like, you are gonna see Yodio, and he kept forcing me to see Yodio. So I got into Yodio about 10 years ago then, and he was like, I will kill you if you don't watch Yodio. Yeah, so he forced me to watch Yodio, Yodio Bizarre Adventure. But I haven't stayed up to date, I have to say, with Yodio. I guess that's my big anime flaw, right? That I'm not an overly big Yodio fan. I don't know. I never got super into Yodio. I don't know why. One thing I do want to see Yodio though, I haven't actually seen yet, which I actually really want to see, and I probably will react to it if I see it. But I have to work up my way there, I feel. Is the, what's it called? The Steel? I haven't watched it yet, but I want to see it. Like the racing Yodio. What's it called? Steel Run? One where they actually race, right? I haven't seen it yet. That is probably that one I watched the most Yodio actually. Yeah, I haven't watched the first season Yodio, like the first 4 or so. You haven't seen the speed racing one. I want to see. I love those racing games. I love Red Line, right? I wanted to love Appare Ranman, right? I want the Steel Ball Run. Yeah, I haven't seen Steel Ball Run yet, and I do really want to see Steel Ball Run. But that sounds like an anime I would love. So I do. Maybe I'll do reaction to that now. Then maybe have so few animes because I do really want to see Steel like a racing anime. As I mentioned, I know you were talking about other stream. I wanted to love Appare Ranman. Right? I wanted to love Ranman, but I hated it. Well, this is the worst thing ever. I wanted to love Appare Ranman, but I was like, God, this thing is so horrible. I wouldn't even have an image over here if you don't talk about. God damn it. I have sort of a list here. I've been lazy in this streaming, but I have a huge, a list of wacky races. I have a list of all my damn. Here it is. Appare. I wanted to like this anime, Appare Ranman, and I was like, it's so bad. I just couldn't get through. I was like, man, oh my god. I was so disappointed. Here, the main character is. I was so disappointed. I wanted to love this anime. And I was like, man. Yeah, but I should definitely watch Steel Ball Run, right? Like that's what I wanna see, right? I give this a chance, but I wanna watch Steel Ball Run. That's what I wanna see, right? I wanna give an Upper Ranman review again, but I'll say it immediately. Upper Ranman, I want to love the anime. It's about racing, right? It's about the racing. Wacky Race is the anime. But like nothing happens for 2 episodes. It's a 12-episode anime, and it's like it's Senku, right? It's like freaking. It's like he's the main character. He's straight up Dr. Stone, right? But worse in every category. It's Dr. Stone. It is Senku, but he lacks like the charisma of Senku. It's like Senku, but it's not funny. It's like that immediately is like a turn off. It's like, oh my god, it's Senku, but worse. It's a bad Senku. And then nothing happens for 2 episodes. They have this like really boring, bland backstory. And the backstory, and I will say it here again, because I feel that's how you should not do an anime. Because the backstory are so simplistic that you don't have to see the backstory. As soon as you see the main character and he has one voice line, you immediately will assume the whole backstory. Like, oh, here's this character, yeah. Such a tropey main character that after seeing him for like 1 or 2 minutes, you already know his backstory, if the backstory won't actually be deeper, but it isn't. So it gives you a whole episode which is exactly as you expected. So it's like, what am I watching? This is exactly what I was thinking, 30 minutes ago with his main character. And then every other damn character is like, oh, this woman, she is a woman, she can't drive, and I actually like her character, but it's like, my god, no. I wanted to like Upper Ranman, but it's basically watching Street Fighter, the anime, where every character is a stereotype to. Every character is, it's like a 18th century, or maybe not century, 8th century stereotype. It's like, oh, this, Native American guy that no one likes because he's this chick that's like, it's like every damn character is like a Street Fighter character, where they have some kind of, super stereotype backstory of like, this guy is from the Brazil jungle, he's green. it's like that kind of storytelling, yeah. Oh, this guy, he's from Turkey, he has like Turkish oil. He was in Hakan and stuff like that. He's like a Turkish oil wrestler. So he likes oil or something. And this blonde guy, if you see Ed, he's a kind of super, evil German, he's like, clearly he is, like, come on. Oh man, no. Oh god, I wanted to like the anime. I like the premise. I love the racing anime. Have I mentioned how much I love Red Line? Red Line is like one of the best anime moves ever. If you haven't seen Red Line, when they do a racing thing, and it's like space racing, and it's like it's like Mario Kart, right? But it's like Mario Kart with deadly outcome with like mecha robots, and it's like the whole plans against them. Man, I love Red Line. Oh, that's a pretty good anime movie, and I wanted like a TV show with Red Line, right? And I have to say though, as a man of culture, Red Line is just so Japanese. I love that. It's like a scene, right, where you have these two, they're twins, right? Like princesses. They're like princesses and twins, yeah. And it's like a scene where they interview these 2 girls, the princesses. And they had this like weird scene where they both show their stuff, right? They're like showing the legs during the interview. And it's like, why are you doing this stuff? Because it's a crazy anime. And then the main female girl, like the main cast, the main girl of the woman, there's a scene where she's like, up high showing. She's like, look at the phone. And I'm like, man, this is anime. I grew up with anime, like 80s animes, where like, now you're showing everything for some reason, right? Yeah, I love it. It's no censorship. Yeah, Promised Neverland, also a good point. It feels like I might go in to do more, exactly, here in channel 2 here, that I might go in and do more manga reads in the channel. I thought about it during the Black Clover time, right? And I do start feeling that as well with Promised Neverland. Because I do really want to see Promised Neverland. Of course, one of the best anime last year. Amazing anime, right? And then I'm like, should I read the manga? And then they announce the anime. And I should probably wait for the anime when I watch the anime. But as you say here, with the whole issue in the world, right? Promised Neverland is probably gonna be delayed. So I might start reading the manga of that too. Then it has something to do with sort of waiting for the anime. If I'm gonna wait for like another year for the anime, right? I just had that Gobutani was delayed yesterday or something like that, right? And I want to watch that too. I really like Gobutani. One of the more, I'm a big harem guy, right? I'm like harem, and Gobutani I felt is one of the best harems when it isn't, alien and furries, right? Because obviously I prefer the whole, you know, Monster Musume, right? When it's like snake girls and harpies, and I mean, yeah, Rakti Neshan and so on. Of course, I prefer, you know, the monster girl harems or aliens and so on. But Gubetani I really liked. Gubetani was like a really nice, you know, 5Q, very well written, I feel, female characters, right? And the main character is pretty good too. That though, he's one of my favorite voices though. So, and actually, we got to Khan, all the voices are so good in Gubetani, right? It's a good voice thing. So I really want to watch the anime, but it delayed yesterday, I think, again. So yeah, it's a lot of animes that you might want to go and read the manga, right? Because there's so many animes that are being delayed. And I think one thing that people haven't said enough yet, but so many shows this season is being delayed, right? To like next season. And you have to probably imagine that animes that was gonna air this season, knowing next season, or maybe even 2 seasons as a background, they are probably gonna push other stuff back, right? So for example, if R0 is now delayed, right? And then next season you're gonna watch R0. But you have to remember that in Japan, most animes are still in a time slot, right? A TV time slot. Not used in, and I used to live in Japan, right? And you watch it on TV, yeah. It's time in TV, right? But for the internet, it's kind of whatever. But it has to be in time slot, which means that at R0, which is probably a bigger, you know, show, right? For the TV studio, they're gonna air R0 over something else that was gonna air at that time next month, right? So that means that the other show will be pushed back, right? So yeah, you kind of have to imagine that even when this health thing is fixed, a lot of shows are gonna be pushed, you know, to the next week or to the next month and so on, right? Unless they forget about that and they actually air the stuff anyway, or not air it, but just do it on the internet, which they might do. It feels kind of off topic here, but I will say that I feel interested if we see how Disney, for example, are doing some movie release. Right? I think it's like what's called Black Widow. I think they announced Black Widow is coming on Disney Plus, right, instead of coming on in the theaters, and so on. So we might see that the anime studios might release the stuff on the internet, yeah, and so on, and ignoring time slot and stuff like that. Maybe they will do that for some of the shows because they haven't half finished one and they can't get like a good time slot. That might happen, but they probably will lose a lot of money on that, so it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's hard to say, right, with everything happening. And it's the same to me, of course. In real life, I don't have much to do, right? It's just like, as I mentioned earlier, I work with like a US director, right, in game, you know, design lead before and so on. But it's because I currently work with direct design consulting primarily then, and everyone is just like going AFK, so not much is happening there. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but to be true though, I had the same issue actually, not the same issue, but the issue actually started last year, where the company I worked with had a hard time getting people out to different companies and so on, and we were mainly doing in-house stuff, which paid less. And of course, then as soon as this issue happened, it's like, well, no, it's gonna be, yeah. So it's I would say that thing. I wouldn't say bored, because I don't get bored. I think a lot of people have an issue. I don't have an issue. A lot of people have an issue that if they are at home, they don't do anything. Obviously, I'm sitting here doing like freaking whatever AMA, so I do stuff right when I'm home. And if I'm not doing YouTube stuff or Twitch and so on, of course I read books. I read this book here, right? I still get, you know, educate myself. I still write my own book and so on. So I don't get bored in that sense, I think, from being at home. I don't really, you know, because I find other stuff to do, right? And I train a lot. I train for about at least 2 hours a day, maybe more, like 3 hours a day. So I exercise a lot. So I'm gonna get that, you know, going, you know. But like I do a lot of training, right, and so on as well. So I don't really get bored in that sense, because I always keep myself occupied. But I do really love working. I'm a guy that really loves work. It's like like I'm a sick person. I love going to the office and work. So in that sense, I get, you know, I like producing stuff, but I have to then find all the stuff to produce. Like for example, writing a book, right? Something like that. I have to find stuff to do, and as long as I do that, I feel somewhat fine sitting at home. But it definitely is different. But as long as I find stuff to do, it's decent. One thing I do miss is that last year I was giving these Friday lectures, so I was doing like a design lectures for all the designers and people and so on. So I was doing like some kind of game design and US design lectures for people then. Obviously those lectures is cancelled now, so I can't just have like my Friday lectures, for example. So I missed that because I like those lectures because I'm trying to give very in-depth like psychology lectures, mainly like design, mental, psychology lectures, and the questions you get from people are very interesting. You get a lot of like interesting dynamics and so on. So that could be really fun. For example, last year I gave a lecture about I mentioned earlier here in the live stream, but I gave a lecture, so I'm writing the book about that, right? In delayed gratification and like instant gratification and so on, how that affects people's mind, how to improve and so on. And I talked a little about like the marshmallow test, right, and children psychology and so on in that sense. And it was an interesting lecture, right, because I was saying so, but I was explaining this stuff that if the child does this thing, that's gonna be likely like have a hard time in school, right, this kid and so on. You can see it in a 4-year-old, and it's easy actually to train a 4-year-old and teach them how to improve this delayed education, and then they can have a lot easier access to like a school, education and so on. But I was giving this lecture then in front of these people, about like 50 people or so, right? 6 people, so that. And I was giving the lecture for people, and they're mostly, I would say, most people there in like the 40s, maybe in the 40s, average age, maybe. So they have a lot of kids, right? And it was interesting because a lot of people were getting like, I'm a bad parent. You see a lot of people, and they listen to your lecture, and they actually get affected by it. You see this woman over there, she really said, oh shit, my kid is really bad at that. So I'm a bad parent. Yeah, so you kind of hit these people, right? And then you get a lot of interesting... yeah, exactly. But when I do a work suit lecture, I come like this, right, to piss people off. But that's one thing too, actually, because when you work with consulting, I have to wear like good pants. So I hate that. So usually when I work at game companies, I come in like shorts, like I come in like half naked, you know. Then I come in like a flexing. I'm like, yeah, it's like, yeah, I come in like this. But when I go to like a consult office, or when I get to some kind of boring IT company, I have to wear my nice pants. So I have a few nice pants, and I'm like, oh, gotta put on my nice pantsuit and so on. But it's I was just thinking about it actually yesterday. It's kind of funny. So when I worked, for example, at a company last year, this game company, right? And it's kind of funny because how would I explain it? When I go to the office, I come like this sometimes, right? And I come with my start or whatever, right? And I have like a katana with me, and I walk around like that. No, but damn it, Spider-Man! I can hear sound there. So I come like that, right, to the office sometimes, and I do to provoke people, to piss them off. Yeah, no, but I do it sometimes. I don't really care, and I walk around in like shirts, you know. And actually, I worked in that office, in the same company then. 18, I think it was super hot. I think it was summer 18. It was incredibly hot, right? So I would come in there in like this like shorts. I would come in almost half naked. I'd be like, yeah, and it's like, you know, loincloth basically. Yeah, I was going like the anime loincloth style, right? And you know, I do that because I don't care what people think. So I do that. I'm crazy, and no one ever plays it anyway. So I do this stuff, right? But at the same time, when it's like, oh no, we're gonna have this business meeting, we're gonna meet like Japanese company, we're gonna meet like Tencent or some other, you know, Chinese company, yeah, so we're gonna meet these people, right? Then I have like a tie on, I dress up right, I come out serious. So for me, it's like when it's casual, I'm very casual, and when it's serious, it's very serious, right? So I kind of have like a mode. I'm like a chameleon. I kind of fit into what I need to fit into in the current context, right? So if I'm a game design lead, I'm gonna be relaxed, you know, Weibo guys like, yeah, what's that go, yeah, crazy, right? And now I'm gonna meet this. Do you call this is not a Higo shirt? Come on, this is just Aqua being cool. But yeah, I have wear this in the company a lot. Yeah, when I worked for a game company last year, or this company I worked for like 2.5 years, I wore this shirt a lot. I wear this shirt, and I wear some of the other shirts like my Rem shirt and my 02 shirt and so on. And one reason why I did it was no one ever said anything, and I tested people out too, because I know a few people too that watched Konosuba at that game company. So I was like, I'm gonna come in like this, and no one said anything, and I'm like, I hate you. Why are you all? Yes, I don't have one of those crazy aqua shirts. I don't have one of those, but I do have this thing, right? No one said this thing either. So I have this, I have my, Astafolo mouse mat and so on, right? So I put this on the office. I'm like, is someone gonna say something now? And like, they didn't! I hate these people! That's one of the reasons why I hate these people. Because I'm like, why are you so cowardly for? Like, seriously, it was a period in that work. So I worked in this game company, right? And I'm like trying to get someone to be angry at me. Well, I mean, I guess they are angry at me, but no one ever says anything. So I'm like, what can I get away with? So, didn't fit my trap. It was so boring. I was like, I want to provoke them. And I have this story, I'll tell you the story. This is a true story. Not in the same company. So about 5-6 years ago, I worked for this other company, and they had very, very, let's call it the far left-wing people. The founders were all far left-wing. One of them was in the very angry left-wing, people that, so crazy people there. And they were always like, anime is evil, Japan's evil, right? They hate Japan, right? They hate everything in Japan. And they're always like that, right? And they hated anything sexy and so forth, right? And everything that's like, super, everything that's like, girl, everything that's, how will I say it? Everything that Japan is, of course, bad, right? So on. Any man of culture stuff is bad, right? So anything is bad. So what I did then is that, and this is a true story. So my favorite character in Street Fighter, and I play her in a lot of the 4th game and in the 5th game as well, right? It's really awesome. And Idiom, of course, is my fan then, right? You can find it here. But basically, my favorite character. Let's see if you can guess my favorite character in Street Fighter. My favorite Street Fighter character. I can put her on here on the screen soon here, so you can guess it before I get a good image of her. See someone in the live so I can figure out my favorite Street Fighter character. So what I did was I bought a poster of this character. So I bought like a poster like this, right? Like a big poster of her. Actually like that, a bigger poster. This one place is huge. This big poster is like 2 meters. So I bought a massive poster of this awesome female character. But the country is super open-minded, but they're too much, right? So, but they actually aren't open-minded because they actually hate Japan. They're open-minded, but only when it fits them, right? So their open-mindedness is like, they're only open-minded as long as you actually agree with them. So anyway, they always complain about anime and so on, right? And evil animes in Japan and so on. They hate Japan. They always hate Japan. So what I did then, I bought, no one guesses here, I bought this big poster of Poison, right? Poison is my favorite character in course. I love the traps. Yeah. So I bought this huge poster of Poison. It's like, bigger than this one. It's bigger than this Bleach one here. This Bleach one here, the reason why I have it up here, it's a lot bigger than this one. It's actually like it's 200 centimeters. It's like 2 meters. So it actually is really big. It's very wide here. This Bleach one, it's like massive. So I bought a Poison poster, like this one here, right? Because you can buy them for like, maybe it costs like $30, something like that. A big Poison poster, right? And I put it on my, in my office. I had my own office. I was the QA manager and design. I was the economy designer and QA manager. So I was like a manager. So I had my own office. So I put this huge Poison, poster on my whole wall, right? This massive Poison poster. So if you know about Poison, she's like the first, transgender character, right? So she's the original trap, right? She's the first transgender character in game, basically, right? She has like a huge member down there, right? So I always liked Poison, right? My favorite characters, and I played her in 4. I used to main like Cody as well, and she's in love with Cody, right? Perfectly too, but yeah. I used to main Cody, her, and Adon basically in 4, a little bit of Guile. I played with Guile a lot in competitively. And then I played a lot of her actually in the fifth game. So I love her real side to the longer whip in the fifth game. But anyway, so I bought this huge poster, right? And I put it on this wall. And we had the ceiling. We were in the ceiling, the highest floor. So our ceiling was like a triangle, right? With the ceiling coming down at you. So my office, I had a corner office. So my ceiling was like, in an angle, like a triangle angle. So I put this massive poison poster covering down the ceiling, right? They are sexy, kind of like this image here, like a sexy poison poster, right? In this massive poison poster. And of course, what happened then, and you could imagine what happened, right? So my office, they hate everything with anime, right? They're super like, oh, yeah, Japanese anime, it's all, it's all this and this and this and this, and they're always, have my opinion or you're wrong, right? Yeah. So they have that stuff going, right? And so my boss comes in there, right? And I know he's like far, we're talking like left wing, like left wing over here, right? We're talking left wing in the insanity left wing when they hate everything, right? It's not the same thing. So anyway, so I have this poster, right? And he goes in there, and I'm ready because he's like, oh, you can't have some sexy, girl, some anime chick, some anime oppies and whatever, right? And I'm like, but this is the most famous transgender anime game character. I'm like, but this is Poison. She's like the first LGBTQ, she's the first trap. She's the original trap character. He's like, oh yeah. And I was like, yeah, she's Poison, So don't you like, transgender characters? Do you have a problem with transgender people? So obviously, they had to let me have the poster, right? Because they were like, we hate there's a sexy poster, but it is like the classic trap. It's Poison. No, but they couldn't trap the poster because I was like, it's a trap. It's the it's a transgender character. So if you don't like her, you don't like transgender character, right? So they were like, oh damn it. So I got them in a trap there. So I got them in that. So I used my trap to put them in a trap, right? They couldn't move away from that. They were like, oh damn it. So they had to be like, okay, I guess that's fine then. so they were like, damn it. So I loved that. Oh, that was so funny. And I knew it was gonna happen to you. I was like, but she's transgender. Do you hate those people? They couldn't remove it. Oh, it was so funny. The sun is going down a bit, but yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it was a trap bound by a trap there. And they lost that. But then in the job afterwards, I had not the job between, but the job afterwards, when I wore this kind of shirt and so on, I was trying to provoke them because the people were so boring. I was working in this place, and no matter what I did, they would always accept it. They would be like, "Oh yeah, you go, man." I'm like, "No, what I'm doing is not okay." I was trying to be like, I know I'm the lead designer here, so I have like more freedom and shit. But no, you're telling me I'm wrong, So I was trying to be like, I'm gonna do this shit. I'm gonna bring my freaking Death Star. Okay, they have that. Okay, I'm gonna bring this stuff. I'm gonna do this annoying stuff. But they never said anything. I was like, I hate these people. But they have no personality. Like they're never telling me I'm wrong. I hate them. So that drove me crazy. But yeah, I used to do cosplay a lot when I was young and attractive. And I had a good abs, right? And I had these good abs and so on. Yeah, I had muscular abs. I used to do cosplay. I used to do the Doflamingo, of course, my favorite cosplay. And I had the young Doflamingo I did. When I had the tie on, I had Doflamingo when he's in the younger One Piece form of him, when he has the black suit with the red tie and so on. I used to do that, and I used other, cosplay. As a kid, I would cosplay, as like Dragon Ball characters. I would do the Goku stuff. I also used to do real life Goku and Rock Lee, right? I haven't said it yet, but one thing that I grew up with as a martial artist is that I used to have those, arm things, Goku style. I would have weights like Rock Lee and Goku and so on, right? When I was a kid. That's why I have so good arms. That's why I have so good. So one thing I have here, and this is hard to see on the screen here, but one thing I have is that my tendon here is like incredibly hard. There's one thing I have from doing this martial art thing my whole life with the weight, having like this like martial art, Dragon Ball, the weight in my arms. Like I had it 4 years of my life. I was wearing 8 kilograms of weight on both legs. Is that my tendon here is like incredibly hard. It's not the biggest muscle, but I have some kind of weird tendon that's like have to wear those kilograms all the time. So I never get retired. I can punch stuff for hours, and my tendon is like whatever. So it has that kind of weird resistant tendon thing. I didn't get big muscles, but I got like a very, very resilient, resistant muscles to pain or something. It's really weird. And the same thing with my legs, right? Same thing with my legs. I have like a very hard legs tendon. Hard to explain, but it's kind of a thing, right? And I don't know. Usually people think I look pretty fat. I don't know, but the thing is that because I'm very tall, right? I'm very tall, and I have the Swedish kind of. My frame is very, very big, so my muscle is very tiny. So I will admit I hate that. Because it doesn't matter how much I train on like my biceps, they look pretty tiny because my body is so big. But I actually have like an 8 centimeter of width there. They're too bright. Oh, it's better, yeah. And put it on some brightness there. But it's just kind of weird because I have such a huge frame of a body. My arms are so tiny. But like my biceps here, and these are super personal now. But like my if you measure them, I am a lot bigger than average man has. A lot bigger. Like I'm 18 centimeters. Like I'm huge. But it's like, but no one sees it because I have freaking up height like crazy. No. I don't need a massage. They're always just flexed up, But yeah, I've done so many crazy stuff in my life. That's why I kind of want to do more of these videos too, because I've done so much crazy stuff. And I always try to do this crazy pushing the buttons, right? I always try to find these situations where I'm like, okay, so I can do this shit. So for example, I remember, this is some admin stuff, but so on the office, there was this colleague, she put up, we had 2 bathrooms in the office, and she removed, they had like, the man and the female sign. And she was like, I'm gonna put this up here. She was like Team Edward and Team Jacob or something. And I was like, that's pretty funny. And then after we had the Darling in France incident 2 years ago, I put up Team Ichigo or Team 02 and so on. So that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, you don't get the joke, but it's pretty funny. It's like that kind of stuff. I always done that kind of stuff, right? But yeah, it really drove me crazy when I worked for this company, and no matter what I did, no one ever said anything. And I was like, I hate these people. Why can't they never tell me I'm wrong? I want them to tell me that I am crazy. Like, I want to be, I want to push the buttons. But at the same time, that company miserably failed because the owners had a horrible PR ID. I won't talk about him, but they had a horrible PR ID. And I was the only person to ever say, this PR makes no sense. Like, why are you doing here? No one's gonna buy this game. It doesn't make any sense. And everyone else was like, great. So I guess they were always just in that personality vibe, but they never say to anyone that nothing ever works right. But man, that drove me crazy. That drove me crazy too. That we had meetings. We had freaking meetings where I am the only person saying to the owners that this won't work. This is horrible. And no one, agrees with me. Everyone in the office is like, he's wrong. He's wrong. Yeah, no one says anything. And then as soon as we leave the office, right? As soon as we leave the meeting, they're like, you're right, man. That idea is horrible. And everyone tells me afterward, like, yeah, you're right. That thing is shit. Can you ever tell me that during the meetings? Or not me, but other people? But man, that company, that game so miserably failed. And because they had the worst PR thing ever. I won't cover too much here, but I don't know the channel. But they had the worst PR ever. First of all, they didn't talk about the game for the first 2 years. They didn't talk about the game. They were like censoring. And I was being interviewed on this big podcast, one of the biggest podcasts in Sweden, for gaming, right? And I was being interviewed at that podcast twice even, and they were not asking me, or they were asking me about the games. They were asking me about this game I worked on, and I was like, I can't tell you what the game even is because they have completely locked down, and there was like, it didn't have a name. It was super silly. So it was like a perfect time for me to market that game, just of being in this podcast, this huge podcast, and so on. But right now, nothing is happening, right? Right now, nothing is happening. I haven't done. Latest thing I did I did some quick work for Can I say that? Did I don't know what the name for that? It's all the NDAs, right? Let's see, what can I say? I worked on FF7 Remake. That was out, of course, recently, so I guess that kind of counts. I did this stuff for a British company last month, but I can't say which company because there's NDAs. I can't say what, but it's like it's a famous British company. They've done a lot of games, so you might have played them. Let's see. Det är thing for an app thing, I guess. I hate the game. I'm gonna get a PR. It's always kind of hard because usually when you work on something, you have NDAs, and right now it's a lot of like consulting project stuff, so I can't really talk about it that directly. But it's a big difference to what I couldn't talk about that all the time, because that time I was the lead designer of that company. So I was the design manager, lead manager. I was the highest designer, and I still couldn't talk about it all year. But in that company, it was a new company, so you have the issue of no one knowing about your company anyway. So it's all about getting that word out there, right? So it doesn't make any sense. The game I worked on this year, that is currently in production, then latest, is of course a very famous British company. So they don't need me to say the word here, right? They won't have their PR. So it's kind of like it's very different, because for them it's just keep it secret, right? And yeah, it's very, very different. When you're working for a new company, it's all about getting the game out there, right? So it's the opposite situation. Scenario is opposite. No, done that thing. So basically everything is new. Is kind of like that, right? But yeah, I did actually do some stuff, for FF7 Remake, right? Where is it? Did some stuff for this game, right? For FF7 Remake. But that's kind of strange. So I worked on FF7 Remake, but I worked on it like 5 years ago. I worked on FF7 Remake way before it was even close to being finished. But this I can say though, but this is no secret. FF7 Remake was like, when I worked on it, right, it looked that it was going to be finished in like 2-3 years, maybe pop 2 years. So it's been riddled with production issues, right? So nothing I did is stayed in that game basically. So everything I did has been like reworked and redone, and they've redone the game so many times, so it's just kind of weird. But yeah, when I was FF7 Remake, I never thought the game was gonna come out in 2020. I thought the game was gonna come out like 17 maybe even 16 when I was that game, because it was a lot more finished. And that's kind of strange, right? They have spent a lot of years. The same thing with FF15, right? It's supposed to be FF13 too, actually. FF15 was first called FF13 Versus, right? So Nomura had lost the production way too long, and they're changing stuff and so on. And I think that's very obvious in the games. They have some kind of weird issues. I think both games, right? It's really weird. But I mean, you have no review of that game out there. But yeah, my dream job is. That's kind of an interesting question too, and I feel this question is something that's interesting in my life. So as a kid, I had this dream of working at either there's 2 companies I wanted to work for as a kid. It was Square Enix, right? I wanted to work with obviously RPG, or I wanted with Blizzard, right? I wanted to work with Blizzard, and then I had the chance, kind of immediately, to work at Blizzard, and I worked at Diablo 3, and I worked at Hearthstone, and so on, right? And I worked at Activision like Call of Duty and Skyland and so on. And with actually being at Activision Blizzard, I also worked with Square Enix. Not in the RPG, but I worked on the Japanese thing for Square Enix. So immediately, I kind of achieved my basic dream of having both that Blizzard and Square Enix stuff. And I was very young, and then my soul just died. No, but then it's like, what should I do with my life now? Oh, bro, I don't care anymore. so it was a little bit like that, yeah. Then I achieved those children, the basic kid dream, my 14-year-old dream, kind of immediately, at least from a company standpoint. And then you were like, oh, what should I do now then? So it's that's kind of strange. My dream was kind of like the job I had last year, like a lead designer at a strategy game. So now I've done that too. And then instead I turned into like a UX director. So I can do all this stuff. I can do all this crap, right? Talking about measurements and brain activity and so on. So I've done that too now. So yeah, I will admit that in my life I feel like, I don't know, it's like I cannot done it. I cannot done it all, I feel. So in a way, sometimes I do think about just doing something completely else. Something I haven't done before at all, in a sense. I already done everything with High School Girl, I hope. I think I've done all episodes of High School Girl. I think you can find all my reactions to High School Girl. If you look at my playlist and so on, I hope I have done all of them. So I did season 1, I did OVAs, and I did season 2 last year. I did it in the Japanese without any text and so on before it was released. Should be able to find that. But that's still kind of into the question, right? It's kind of like that's a live question there. So I felt that, what I feel right now, that one reason why I'm writing more in my book now, a lot more, my isekai book, my fantasy book, is because I'm like, well, I've done everything I can, I feel, in the game industry. I've done different positions. I'm not interested in being like, I don't know, an artist. I've done the coding, I've done the other stuff. I've done the, yeah, so it's kind of like, you can always dream about being at a bigger company. You can be the lead designer at like the biggest company, I guess. That's a bigger dream than being in a smaller company. So you can achieve at that. But otherwise, it's kind of uninteresting. So it's kind of like, I don't know. In a way, I am thinking of doing full-time something else, right? Because I'm like, man, I need to do something else, something that's new, something that's challenging, or doing something completely else. I want to open up a restaurant or something, something crazy. But no, so that's a kind of hard question. But at the same time, though, when you work with gaming and so on, and all the similar stuff, entertaining, it is still kind of fun to be like, well, I have designed a strategy game, I have designed a role-playing game, I have designed a platform game. So you kind of like, I know I want to design, at least you have that going for you, where you're like, well, I want to design something else now, right? I want to design something else. I like Cajun food, mainly. I like very spicy food. I like very spicy food. I want the food to like, I want to like cry and eat food. So I feel it cures me. I never get sick, I should say that. I've been sick in like over 10 years, right? I never get sick ever. I'm like immune to diseases. So I'm healthy, right? Yeah. And I think one of the things because I eat very, very spicy food. Like I take my cayenne and I just throw the cayenne down, right? On the food. And I'm like, this is food, yeah. Like I eat incredibly spicy food. Maybe I should become that, a spice eater. Maybe I should be so kind of like, eat, like those animes, we eat like, curry fast, right? We need like curry eating fast thing. Maybe I should start doing that, right, or something. But yeah, it's a good live question, right? I keep thinking about it, honestly, that I'm not bored by it, but everything just kind of comes to that, and I'm just like, well, I've done that now. Kind of want to master something else, right? I've always been very into mastering stuff. I know I felt like, well, have I mastered this skill now? Maybe. And then you're trying to figure out something new to master, right? Because I'm writing my book, I'm not thinking that this is the best book ever. I'm thinking that this is pretty bad written, actually. And I've seen the anime, Hokkaido Sakura Club. It's the fishing anime, right? Unless I can't read now. Or it's the board game anime. Sorry, I'm an idiot now. They have very similar names. No, that's the board game anime, right? Sorry, the board game anime. I'm tired. I'm blaming it. I'm tired. That's the board game anime, right? Yeah, exactly. Board game anime. Sorry, I'm tired. They have similar name though, in my defense, right? Yeah, so I've seen. I reacted to the beginning of the anime, and I've seen the anime. Hokkaido Sakura Club, and I can say too for that matter. I'm also a big board gamer. God damn it, I have so many hobbies. No, see, I think I'm no life hobbies guy. How do I have so much time in my life? Actually, I already done 2 board games. So I already done my own board game. I did my own Dominion board game. I already done my own board game, and I also did another board game. I did a chessboard game, and the thing is that when I was in college, I actually founded a board game club. So I am, and that's the biggest board game club in Gothenburg. So I founded the biggest board game club in the West Sweden. So I already done that too. See, I should be more famous, right? It's kind of crazy. So yeah, so I did found this big board game club. It's called Draw It, and it has like huge amount of members. They have great board games. They have like 1,000 board games, and they play these board games every Wednesday and so on. And I played board games competitively for that matter too, right? I played Bang Dominion. I won the Dominion and the Bang Mastership in my home country and so on. So I played all kind of board games. I'm a huge fan of this. Like the how we call it, the deck building board games, right? Like Dominion. I don't know if you play Dominion, but I'm a huge Dominion fan. So I made my own Dominion game actually, similar to Dominion. That's Blood Bowl too. Dominion. So I used to play Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh competitively. If anyone cares, but yeah. So I used to play a lot of games, right? So Dominion, I won the Mastership for Dominion. So I'm really liking it. Maybe there we go. So Dominion is a game I really like. Basically, Dominion is a game where you have a starting deck of you have seven copper coins and 3 estates, to be exact, and then you build your stuff, right? So you have this game, and it's like a board of different cards in the world, and then you buy this with your money, and the card has like you can draw more cards, or you can buy stuff, or you can do stuff, right? And the goal is to get points in the end, so it has the most points, right? And I love this game. So I played that game. I played Barbarossa one. So I even competed in the game. And one of my best friends, he's like the best Swedish player in the media. Like he's won this like Mastership like 3 times. He's like the best player in Sweden in this game. Like my best friend, he's like the best player in this whole game. Basically in the country, maybe in the world. Like he's incredibly good at the game. So we played that game a lot. And I won the competitions, and we played together. And he's number 1, I'm number 2. So I played a lot of Dominion. So I like those board games, right, where you're building your own deck. So for example, a game I like currently is Hearthstone and Battlegrounds, right? When you build your own deck, right? So I like that concept. So yeah, I was actually thinking about. So I designed my own kind of like a Dominion similar game, which is called Intergalactic Conquest, which is a board game I made then, like 10 years ago. And I've been thinking actually of. One thing I'm looking at this today, is making my own company, right? Like making an own company, and we are probably gonna do app games then. What I wanna do actually though is something like Azure Lane or Counter Collection, where you make a cute, a man of culture game where you play like different. My idea is that you're playing different historical figures instead of boats, right? And they're all sexy, like sexy World War II leader, sexy communist leader, so on. That's my general idea. But another idea I have is also making some kind of app game. And I have actually worked on a design on my private part, so it's been a private design where I want to make some kind of like, as you mentioned then, like a board game, kind of like you're building your own deck based on my previous board game. Where the game is gonna be free, and you're gonna have like 9 or so factions in the game, and then if you want to pay for it, you can get a few other factions. So you might have like 18 factions, right? They're all gonna be balanced. It's gonna be great balance, right? But to get every faction, you have to buy, you have to pay a bit, right? Like maybe like $5 per faction, something like that. And then of course we're gonna release more factions, right? And what I wanna do is like, if you ever played Barbarossa, which is this similar board game, and in Barbarossa they actually have hengakas, hentai artists doing their art. So what I would love to do is that I would love to do like an app board game, and I would have to actually get actual hengaka like Shindo and so on designing the card art. Like I would love that, like having actual sexy art, like of course not too sexy, but you know what I mean. So I have actually thought about that for a while actually, to make my own studio, and we're gonna make these super sexy games, right? Super man of culture games, incredibly non-PC, incredibly almost in your face with people, tell people like it is, super in your face, right? Something I'm thinking about actually for doing a while actually, and then I would like to either do this action game, right? Like history action game, with cute girls, or actually like a board game, yeah, like an app board game where you play this card game on your phone, kind of like Hearthstone, but not, I mean, not in the trading card game, but in more like the building your own deck thing, right? But I actually know a few people. I actually know a few hengakas. I actually know a few. I know one that's a good friend of mine, and he does commission art, right? Yeah. The good thing actually with hengakas, from a company standpoint here, is that they are much more willing to do commission art, right? It's easier to get a hengaka and tell them that, can you do like 10 sexy cards for me? You know, do like a cute, like a tan girl with like a big musket pack, give her abs, you know. Can you do that and give me like a kind of fox girl, and you know, and I will pay you, you know, this much per card, right? They are much more willing to do that actually, and it's actually quite easy to get people to pay them and do that compared to, you know, like how to say, like a, you know, wholesome family artist. So it isn't actually that hard to get people paid that. And I know I have a friend and he does that. He's a henga artist, and he does that stuff, and he does like Pokemon art and so on, like sexy 30 Pokemon, and you know, he takes like, I don't know, like $50. I'm thinking no, not less, no, like $5 per character for like a quick one, and the more advanced one with landscape behind is like 50 or so, depending on that level. So actually isn't that complicated. So I'm thinking that doing that seriously, because what I'm looking at right now is that I have a few coders. There's actually one guy, it's gonna be my lead programmer if I do it in a company, and so I have like a few coder guys that I can work with the game in a new company, right? I don't have a good artist actually. I don't have a good artist, because I want to make a company, right? I want to have an artist that's like, you know, non-PC. Every damn artist I know are PC, right? So there's a problem, yeah. So everyone I ever worked with in the artist industry, except Japanese people, but the non-Japanese people, they're so, you know, not monocultural, right? So it's a very hard time for me where I live currently to find an actual artist that it won't be like, we can't have big boobs. No, yeah, I can't find those people. So in that sense, I'm thinking of maybe just outsourcing all the art completely to like Japanese hentai artists. Yeah, like seriously, because it probably would be easier for me to use commission all the art than to find someone that's like, they won't complain about it. It's seriously. So I actually have a little story about that. So when I worked at a new company, I started working at the company. It was like 6 years ago. And one guy then, this is the guy thinking about being the lead programmer then, he was in a meeting with 4 other programmers and their producer, and they were developing this like poker game. You know, in poker you don't have a croupier usually, but if you have like a game, right, you have a croupier, right, the person dealing out the card, right, yeah, the dealer, the croupier. So they were discussing how they were gonna do the art of the croupier, and I wasn't in the meeting, but I was walking past this meeting, and I hear this guy screaming, "She has to have big boobs! She has to have freaking big boobs, everyone!" Like, I hear this guy screaming, you know, like, "Where's the boobs?" Something. When I walk past the meeting, like, I hear it outside. I was like, what the heck is going in there? And the issue then at this meeting, right, was that everyone except him wanted this croupier girl character, right, female character inside the game, to basically be like, you know, flat chested, right, to be like A-cup. And he was like, "No, it has to be sex sells, make her boobs bigger." So, and I was like, "Can I enter?" I was like, yeah. So you have that issues, right? People are like, "No, you have to make that scene and that." Yeah, and they have the passion too, right? They have the passion too, yeah. And actually, but I will say this thing: in the latest game I published, or you know, maybe if you know the F7 so, but I'm talking about that I worked on for a long time. In that game, I must say the game because I refuse to give those people any PR. So, but anyway, in that game, the main female character which I created, right? I did a character design so on of this female character. Her name is Ashley. In the game, how can I explain? But in the game, she has this like metal plate over her stomach. She has like an orange suit with some metal here, and then in her stomach, it's like a metal plate here. So it's like a metal plate in the stomach here, right? For her like midriff, right there. In the actual art, when this guy, which is a pretty good artist, but he did her modeling. This guy was his name, but when he did art of this main female character, she was actually showing her midriff. So it actually had like a plate here, right, showing her stomach, and then has a kind of orange pants on her. But then they sent that the art of this female character, the main character, to I don't know, like one of the investors. She's like she's a very famous woman in Sweden, and sent her in this business. Sent the art to her, the owner, and she got back and like maybe she's too sexy. And then they had to censor this. They had to censor that the art. So she had this showing her midriff, show her belly button. They had to censor that. So she was like, she's too sexy. So they had to censor the art of that of the character. Oh man, oh god, and that game sold nothing, right? Every character was ugly in that game, and that's one of the reasons they censored the character's sexiness, and they censored other stuff like that too. It was the same thing where, oh god, I hate this game so much, but it was the same thing that we have this like a pyramid head kind of female character in the game. If you know Pyramid Head from Silent Hill, we have like a pyramid head in that game, kinda, and that was not my concept art at all. So I did the concept art and I did this design of the character, and then I was sent to the artist, and they were like, oh, it's too sexy. So they give her like a pyramid. They made like a female pyramid head, but they still didn't have sex appeal. It's hard to explain, but basically they made like an ugly female pyramid head. And I was like, you know what? I wouldn't actually mind pyramid head as a female if you kept kind of the kahunas. So it would be like a weird thing. It's like, is she scary or is she sexy? Like, that would be kind of interesting actually. I would kind of like the dynamics. Like, she's kind of sexually appealing, but she also will kill you. So I kind of like the appeal of it. But instead you just made her ugly, right? And if you ever play Silent Hill games, those like the nurses, right? Nurses are sexy, yeah. They're big tits and the nurses in Silent Hill, they're sexy, but they're still gonna kill you. So it's like a weird emotional feel, right? But they just removed all of that, gave her a pyramid head, and she was super ugly. And I was like, it's just nothing now. It just looks kind of ugly. It's kind of weird. So I truly hated that game. Oh my god, I hated it so much. But it was just so crazy. And the thing is that, of course, when the game was released, everyone hated it too, right? All the feedback was that every character is so ugly. That every character is so not cool, not sexy appealing. So they were both, failing on the cool factor and the sexy factor. So not a single character was cool. And especially the female character weren't like badass. There's like there's no badass, muscular, no hibicky, right? There's no badass female character. There was no appeal in either way, cool or sex appeal on any character. And that's what happens, right? If you go, that company really went, if you go woke, you go broke. That company was truly like that. And that's what I mean too. But that's the same company as I talked about earlier when I was trying to provoke them with this kind of shirt and so on, right? So they would never complain about the stuff. I was wearing all this crazy Ahego stuff to piss them off. But they would still, censor the game as much as they could. And I was trying to make it as sexy as possible. And obviously I failed because they refused to. It's just a strange thing. Because I felt that if you're gonna censor all the art and so on all the time, aren't you at least gonna comment on my dress style? It's a weird thing. It's very weird. But yeah, don't do that, kids. You have to make people actually wanna, buy whatever you do, right? But I could talk about that thing for hours. For many, many hours. But it was a very strange thing. It was so strange. It's just... But I remember the first time there, when they censored that the main female character, I was like, man, this is not good. And what happens too, right, is that you censor an artist's art, right? So the producer is going to the artist, like, you have to censor your work. He's gonna be like, oh, I hate this job. He's gonna, he's also gonna make the next art worse, right? But he's gonna lose his passion. He can't do his own stuff. It's gonna be... So it's also a bad thing, right? You don't want to do that, yeah. It creates a lot of weird stuff there. But yeah, any other question? I've been doing it for a while now. I'm getting all hungry. And I do when I watch BNA eventually too, for that matter, right? I do when I watch my Brand new animal, yeah. Eventually, right? Eventually. I do want to watch that. So yeah, like, you know, I can say it here too, right? Why we're this topic here. Like I'm watching, you know, brand new animal, but it's kind of like, I don't know how I say it right. When it comes to brand new animal, it's kind of like, I like Trigger, right? I like Trigger a lot, and I'm gonna watch it. This will be the next reaction, probably today, unless I take Titan out for that matter, right? I think a Titan should come out maybe today or tomorrow, and you always read the Titan. It's not out yet. But I'm gonna say it here. I like brand new animal, right? I really like the. So I'm talking about this. Sorry if I'm all distressed, but I'm tired now. But like all distressed now. But it's like, you know, I really like badass female characters, right? And I also like the tomboy most, I guess, the fighting female character, right? So I also like that, right? I like that. Here's your Mishiro, yeah. So I always really liked, you know, Trigger's art, right? You know, Ryoko, Akko, you know, Zero Two. I like that, you know, aggressive, you know, female character, right? That's badass. And I like Mishiro and so on. So that's kind of coming back to what I talked about there in my game. That's one reason why I used this stat so much. When I kind of want to talk about Man of Culture more to in game too, because it's like the way they do games these days, gaming, also comics, right? Especially comics too, is that it's like a woman or a trap, whatever, can still be sexy and be cool, right? But they kind of like, they're just like removing everything. Like in that game, then they're removing this character's appeal in every regard. She's not cool anymore, like Mishru, like a cool fighting character. She's not cool and she's not sexy. She's not nothing. Yeah, she's nothing, right? There's nothing. This is nothing appealing with the character at all. And I feel that's a common issue in both, you know, in both gaming and anime. In anime, some degree, but also especially comic, right? Because it's like they're just removing everything and so on. It's just a weird thing. But yeah, brand new animal, Mishra is awesome. She has that you know, studio trigger I want, right? The studio trigger I still have. But yeah, that's the thing too now. As I mentioned earlier, right, I have so much free time to. I can just play more games. Hoping to get the Persona 5 Royale. I've been waiting for a week now because I beat, you know, Trials of Mana, right? And I am playing Trials of Mana. I streamed yesterday on Twitch, though. I am playing it second time now. I'm going on my Anila route, so I am playing it still though. But I do want to play something more. Yeah, it's just crazy how much free time you have now. But anyway, yeah, going over to brand new animal. Take a break here, and then do brand new animal. Episode 11 and 12, and then I'm gonna review those probably tomorrow, probably on Saturday. I don't know, I'll probably review it maybe next and think about it a bit. I'll say one thing, a brand new animal here directly, it's kind of strange that only 12 episodes. It feels like it should be a Trigger show. They're usually 2 seasons, but it's already over, so that feels kind of strange because they have this, you know, trigger of like this bad guy and it's plot line and it's, you know, it's like this reveal and so on. But it's only 12 episodes, so they kind of quickly reveal the big baddie. They kind of quickly reveal the big story in brand new animals. So I feel that doesn't feel as triggery. They kind of have to put all these shadowy plot points and then moving there slowly, right? But now they kind of just quickly reveal the plot lines to some degree. And that feels kind of strange. But I do like brand new animal. I feel it's pretty good. It's a little too naive, and I feel Shiro is. There's some plot points I feel a little bit jarring. And one thing I said the anime is that episode 1 to 6, while I kind of like them more, especially of course the baseball episode. I love the baseball. It's so good. The baseball anime is so good, and it's so poor too. Because on my other channel, I did this baseball edit compilation baseball episode, and they had like 300,000 views. That baseball that I did, my video of the baseball, and obviously it was fair use. And of course, I took it down from the studio. So if you do a video, right, then it becomes too popular, right? Yeah. So yeah, that was unfortunate. 300,000 views there, and they were like, nope, they removed it, of course. So that was unfortunate. But anyway, the BNA best episode was really good. But after episode 16 BNA, they kind of turned into this weird stuff where you kind of like, Oh, okay. Now it went way more evil. So the second batch, I watched 4 episodes yesterday, right? 7 to 12. I want to spoil it here, but it definitely is a lot more darker and more, like, okay, yeah, it's less comedy. It's more like evil master plan, right? Yeah, it definitely fits that. The first half was more comedic, and now it's like, okay, yeah, now it's like evil mastermind, evil plot betrayal and so on. Yeah, it definitely has that feel to it. It's a very clear, like, how say it, a difference between these two batch of episodes. It's kind of strange. And one thing then with Trigger is that you always expect everyone to be evil. So you're like, there's a betrayer. So you sit there and waiting for everyone to be a traitor. You're too used to everyone being a damn traitor. You're like, of course this guy's gonna be evil. Of course this guy is his father or something. He's like, oh man, it's just so a Trigger. But anyway, that's coming up soon then. I'm gonna watch, I don't know, One Piece is gonna be out again. I hope it's up tomorrow. But yeah, I'm gonna take a break now, like a 10-minute break or so. Then I watch BNA, and then there's probably out like 30 minutes. And yeah, I wanna review it. Of course, almost every anime is like delayed now, so there's like no other anime. But of course on Saturday we're gonna watch Gura Samurai and Hamafura. I'm happy that Saturday, I will say that thing, you can hate me, but my number one, except F-Zero then, but my number one and my number two, right, are still left, right, Hamafura and Gura Sama. So I'm still happy I have my two favorite animes to watch on Saturday. It's still the best day, right? Subscribe for that, because that's awesome, right? We're gonna I love Saturdays. I still have my two girls, right, Katarina and Kaguya, yeah, my two K girls. This is awesome. So have that going for it. And then I probably will stop streaming whenever I get to the game. I'll stop probably streaming Persona 5 on Twitch, because I know that after this is kind of weird when it comes to claims also. I kind of avoid their stuff on YouTube, so I'm probably going to do Twitch. Persona 5 Real, and I will probably get addicted to that game. I mean, if it's similar to Fire Emblem 3 Houses, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I played Fire Emblem too much. I didn't even review it, because I was like too into it. Like, I gotta avoid it. It's like I had a similar issue many years ago when I bought Stardew Valley. Have you played Stardew Valley? The freaking, the Katarina style. If you play Stardew Valley, okay, it's a game where you're, it's like you're a peasant guy, you're a farmer. It's like, with like a Harvest Moon. When I bought Stardew Valley and I started playing it, it was a Thursday morning. I started playing it. On Friday night, I'm like, what's happening? Where am I? I played the game. 22 hours. I was like, what? Did I play it for like almost a day without break? I just kept playing that game. Okay, Stardew Valley, I love that game too, but it's also a game that's too good. One day I probably will review Fire Emblem 3 Houses. It's gonna be like a Man of Culture review with like 4 hours review where I'm like, this is the greatest game ever. It's like every waifu, it's so much waifus everywhere. I wanna marry them all. I don't know who I love the most. Is it Beatrice? Is it like I married of course Peter first, right, and then Mercedes. But man, do I love my man, do I Hamafura. I haven't seen the preview yet, but I mean I read Hamafura manga though, so that's one of the things I read. Hamafura, when I found it last year, I read the whole manga in one day. In one night. I just kept reading it. I was like, work tomorrow? Screw that. I want to read Hamafura. I just kept reading it the whole night. Then I went to work anyway. I can't do it sometimes. Okay, once last life story. Once I was playing this game tournament. It's like a stripper tournament. And afterwards we just kept playing games and so on at night. So I got home at like, I think I got home at like 7 in the morning the next day. I played the whole night, right? And I go home 7 in the morning. And for some reason, I'm like, I better check my emails. Because why would you do it? But I better check my emails. I checked my emails. It's like 7:30 in the morning, something like that, when I'm home. And I checked the emails like, we have a meeting. We have to get to this meeting. Someone sent me, I was to college. And I was like, where's that meeting? Oh, it's like at 8. And I was like, I guess I could go there. I'm still awake, and actually, I was that direction before. God damn it! So I just went back again, went back out, got to that meeting. I was like, why am I here for? Like, oh, I hate these people, and I was like, I hate these people. Why am I here for? And I really hated them before this too. So I was like, why am I here for. And I, again, playing whole night, sitting there this meeting, and I was like, man, this is so boring. Why am I here? Everything is pointed. Why did I read this mail for? And then I of course fell asleep in the meeting. We were talking about the meeting, sitting at a round table, right? And I fell asleep, and then I woke up like 3 hours later, and the meeting was over, and they were like, yeah, we're done now. I'm like, oh, okay. What did I miss? Nothing. And then I went home again. So, so I do that sometimes. Oh man, that was crazy. I remember I used to sleep at the lectures too. I used to go back in the first back in the and I would lie down and I would sleep in the lecture times. Oh man, I did it a few times. Yeah, I was a really bad student, you know. I was a really bad student. I still passed the college in like, I got my my master's degree in like 4 years or so on. But I was like a super bad student. I was like bad, I was a good student as I just knew everything. I just went there and did it, because it was so easy. But I was a horrible student, right? It was like, I was out playing games all night and going to anime clubs and parties and so on. I think I spent the first 3 months just partying or something. I'm a crazy person. Whatever, that's the first MA, right? Course per slab episode and so on. If you want to do more live videos, I'll probably do more of this in the future, especially now with most animes being gone, right? One thing we're gonna do next week, probably. Yeah, next week is that we're gonna do one yay or nay video. I like to do. We're talking about all the animes that have been airing this season, and I'm like discussing if they are good or not, right? Given about halfway through or so. Because even if I'm not reacting and viewing every anime, I do watch a lot of anime. So for example, I'm still watching Aranosaura, like the basketball anime. I'm still watching those animes. So I do watch like maybe 2-3 animes a day, and then I react maybe like 1 or 2 a day. So I still watch more animes than I actually react to as well. But I feel that they might not be as good to react to. I don't feel like it's like enough effort, I guess I have to say. So in that sense, as opposed to that the animes I don't react to, I probably do regard as not as good, right? Because I'm like, well, I mean, it's watchable, but it's not that good. I guess it's kind of true. For example, Arosora, it's a pretty good anime, but it's no Kuroko no Basket in my opinion, right? It's like good basketball, but it's no Kuroko no Basket. I'm like, it's okay. It's like, it's not on that level, in my opinion. But actually, the pacing is atrocious. But anyways, see you guys. Have a great day. Coming up with that BNA, last final reaction of BNA, coming up in about an hour from now then. And I hope they go into space, right? Hopefully they go into space. I want us to go to space. I want it to be Trigger. I want her to turn into like a gigantic tanuki that can fight with planets. I want to see Mishuru turning into like, planet size and be like, I'm throwing this at you, a planet. And then her best friend, the wolf girl, will be like, I can throw stars at you. Or something like that. But